You're just using it in lieu of doing the.
Hey, you, wake up. It's Saturday morning and it's time to jump on that to do list. But that home improvement project doesn't have to be a chore. Before you jump in, tune in here to About Your House to listen and learn from the most experienced and reputable contractors and service providers in the industry. On today's show, we have Dr. Tunis, aka Bones, Hunt for Wellness, and David Redding, aka Dread, an attorney, author, and founder of F3. About Your House is brought to you in part by puttoolsinschools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. Also, brought to you in part by Carolina Foundation Solutions, a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina. From the hills to the coast, if you have a problem, they have a solution. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us as we spread a little love. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right, good morning. Welcome to a hot summer. Not too bad. It's not supposed to be 90 today. That's a pleasant surprise. High of 85. Going to have some rain around today. Reason to bring the weather up. It's hot as heck. I sweat a lot this week. Tuesday like to kick my butt. But anyway, it was humid. Anyway, moving forward, I'm excited. I'm thoroughly excited today to have to do the show because seldom in my life, I get to be around real men. Now, there I go, making people upset. And I mean, no, I do, I've got to do my own disclaimer here. One, I'm not a doctor. I want to make that clear to everybody. I haven't been to school to be a doctor. I've just lived my life to be intelligent, learn, and do research. I don't know what that makes me, but maybe a smart ass, excuse me, but in a lot of ways that's the case because I've learned things, but I'm not a doctor. But we're going to talk a little bit about doctoring stuff today. But I'm going to voice my opinion honestly as a person who's lived life. And I've got two men here. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. Then I'm going to keep it going with my little disclaimer. I've got two great guys here that are passionate about what they do. I don't know Tunis here. He goes by Bones. So I'm going to preface it with this is Dr. Tunis Hunt. Where you from?
Well, I live here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
But where are you from?
Right. Born in St. Louis, Missouri.
Where did Tunis come from?
That's a great question.
That's a good way to intro you.
Yes, it is.
I've never known a Tunis. I'm honored just to be next to Tunis Hunt.
Well, I appreciate it. I know one other Tunis. That is my father. We share the same name. But outside of that, I've never met another Tunis. And over the years, I've tried to come up with the origin story of why it was first introduced in our family. And to my knowledge, it started generations ago. I had a great uncle that flew planes in the World War II era. And he was one of the fighter pilots, and it was one of these glide type planes.
Yeah,
like
right.
They would kind of take off and then they would glide in past enemy zones and so forth to go untraced. And they were doing an air show, in fact, in the Midwest. And this might have been the 1940s, 50s area.
Right.
And something malfunctioned in his plane. And he had two options. One was to try to land it. And unfortunately, that would have provided a safety issue for the people in the stands, or go a little more treacherous route. And he chose the more treacherous route and actually ended up crashing and was fatally killed in that. And so, out of honor, my grandfather named my father that name, and then it was passed down to me. And I do have a son, and my wife was like, I already know 2 Tunises, and I don't need to know a third just yet. So that was the reason I was named that. But
thanks for sharing that story,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of history there in your family, which normally with a name that's original and different, that's the case, and yours falls right in line.
That's right. Now, at the
Neat
top of
story.
Africa, there is the country of Tunisia. Capital city is Tunis. I've never been, but to my knowledge, no family history from the region, but who knows?
Okay, you're from Midwest St. Louis,
Correct.
and you're in your 50s now, right?
Close. 47.
47. Okay, I'm just guessing some
Sure.
stuff here. Okay. I'm going to get to your history in a minute, but
Okay.
I'm going to introduce this gentleman here, Mr. David Redding, attorney at law, great guy, founder, an author of a book. I can pull it up here on the the interweb here, and also co-founder of F3, a men's group, which we're going to talk a lot about. And today's show, thanks for coming, Dave.
Oh, appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time. Y'all both been up probably since 4:30 or 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, not by
Did you
choice.
do a workout today?
I took today off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I took today off.
Okay, we're going to tell you what that's all about as we go forward here. But back to what I preface this show with is we're going to speak. I feel honored to have these guys on here because of their background, their passion for what they do. They're both men for humanity. They're passionate about wellness, development, and leadership and humanity. Am I right or wrong on that, guys?
100% correct.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank Pete Sheppel. They call him what?
Chelms.
Chelms, yeah, right. I keep forgetting that. Chelms. And with the F3 men's group, they all have nicknames, or what do you call them?
Nicknames.
Just nicknames.
Yeah, a free name.
I've got Dread here, David Redding, and Dread. If you put D with Red, Dread. Okay. Then with Tunis is Bones. He is a doctor of chiropractic. How you say that word? I'm looking
Chiropractic.
Well, I got that one right.
Right. What are you looking for?
Chiropractic wellness.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know.
Chiropractic
I don't,
physicians, sometimes they'll say. Chiropractor.
Right. But as we move forward here, I'm going to voice myself in a very honest fashion, and it'll probably upset some people because I'm older. I've learned a few things, and I'm very frank and honest. But I promise you this, everything I say today is out of love, out of care, because we got some issues in this country, as everybody knows. But they're all, for me, they go back to where we've been and how'd we get here. And we don't have enough leadership in this country. We don't have good management in this country. We don't have, the leadership is deplorable overall. I mean, I say this because going into this program and talking to these gentlemen, David's got, Dread here has got a military background. Have you ever been in the military?
I have not.
Okay. And since I was a kid, it seems like I've always been put in these positions of leadership, which, growing up, you don't pay attention to that. You just do what you do and you just keep going. When I was 18, and I wanted to serve my country, but I didn't want to go to Vietnam. So I said, I'm going to be a weekend warrior. I'm going to join the National Guard. Some people called me a legal draft dodger through And I was. I did not want to go to Vietnam. My brother was in Vietnam. I lost a lot of friends in Vietnam. I didn't see any. I saw, well, just like the wars of today, they make no sense. How many people we got to kill? You know, I mean, and if you look at the histories behind the wars, they were created anyway for the sake of making money. Now, I told you straight up, I'm going to be straight and frank today, you know. But so I joined the National Guard. That time in the basic training in the military, because you go in as an Army recruit, just like all the other Army recruits, and you go to the same basic training, and you're an Army man. That's what you are. You're in the Army. And you go to basic training, and then you go just like anybody else. The fact that I'm in the Guard did not matter, didn't differentiate me whatsoever. So it was great. And from the second day I was there, I was told I was the 4th squad leader. Drill sergeant looked at me and said, "You're going to be the 4th squad leader." I said, "Okay." Well, I looking back in life, I honor that position because everybody dressed off me, right? The 4th squad leader up front, right-hand corner. And it was very, very, it was a great experience. It was awesome. And I was put in another barracks outside the other 3 companies. Is that what they call them? A, B, C?
Sure.
And the company, but I was in another barracks, and there were 3. The rest of my company, was over in the, I was 4th squad of my company, and they were in another building.
I think you mean platoon, actually.
Might be.
Yeah.
Okay. You know the term.
So 4 squads in a platoon.
There you go.
Four
There
platoons
you
in a
go.
company.
There you go.
So on and so
Thank you.
forth.
Thank you. I knew I'd pull it
I was
out.
figuring, where'd you go to basic training?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Oh, good. Home of the engineers. Were you an engineer?
No. Yes. I went there. Wheel vehicle mechanic.
Okay.
My first AIT was there. And my secondary AIT was at Fort Knox, track vehicle mechanic.
That's where I went to basic training.
And even there, I was honor graduate in AITs, you know, and I didn't know what that meant. Man, I was good at I was one of the top. Now, I'm not bragging. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm telling you something about how beneficial all of this made me as a man and how beneficial it was growing up. And the leadership roles I got into, and I didn't go after them. They were just there. I don't know why, but I got out of AIT and I came back to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live, and I continued my career in construction, which I followed. But once a month, a weekend a month, I had to go and serve National Guard. And we'd go to Fort Bragg every two weeks out of the summers. I had to go to summer camp. Those were the best, most wonderful times of my life because of the camaraderie, the fellowship. And I knew these guys like brothers. That's the military. You got brotherhood. And it was very beneficial. Well, there's a discipline that goes with the military that's, to me, in my life has been unsurpassed. That discipline they create, you know, and people say it's abusive. No, it's not. Not at all. It's discipline, mental discipline. And unfortunately, we don't teach that anymore. It seems to have gone away. Okay, I'm going to speed the thing up here before the first break and get this done. So for 11 and a half years, I was in the National Guard. My summers, 2 weeks every summer, one weekend a month, I was in the military. And I knew 88 guys, and I knew them very well. Why? Because I went in my AIT when I got back home in my company, 1st 113th Military Artillery out here at the airport. We're an artillery battery. And I was in maintenance. Well, we ate like dogs when summer camp, so I raised hell about it. I just kept griping because there ain't no sense in it. So they do something about it. I said, okay, put me in the mess section. Well, I cooked. I became a cook. And now cooking is a blast. For 88 guys, that was my feminine side of nurturing because I nurtured those guys. I did. If they weren't in line at mealtime, I said, "Where's so-and-so?" And we'd go, I'd make sure we'd get them fed. Well, I say all that because when I got back from when I dropped out of the military, I quit after 11 and a half years. I got tired of being told. I got tired of the
discipline.
Not so much the discipline, the stupidity that went behind some of my officers, to be quite honest.
Well, all good discipline has some stupidity in it.
Thank you.
I mean, that's kind of a premise of F3, is like completely
is.
stupid and utterly pointless stuff we do.
But since then, I've become involved with the industry that I work in and a professional, which I still exist in today, and that's the home maintenance, remodeling, building, construction, all that, okay? Well, I got involved with NARI and several other associations, and it's always been my job to be an ambassador, basically, of the industry, or the mood, you might say, and find more leaders. And as I got older, the picking pile diminished. You would meet men and you'd look at them and there was no leadership qualities. And that's what's missing. And men are lost. They really are. You got a comment on that, guys?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's what we call an F3 sad clown syndrome. It's they're unhappy on the inside, or not joyful, but they feel compelled to pretend they are on the outside.
Yeah.
So they're a sad clown.
They're faking it.
They're faking it. They're mascots, not the actual thing a man is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But pretending what they think a man is supposed to be, influenced by the culture.
They're trying, and they don't know how to just be.
Yeah.
I tell kids all the time, kids all the time, you're trying. Well, yeah. Well, don't. Just learn how to just be. They say, what do you mean? Well, once you find out who you are and your purpose, you can be, right? You follow your path. You've certainly done it. You've certainly done it, right? You happy?
Absolutely.
You happy?
I call it joyful, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, joyful.
Yeah, sure.
You don't hear that a lot.
No, you don't.
Well,
actually, you do, because but they don't mean it. So the guy says, "How you doing? Everything's fine. You happy? You happy? Yeah. Happy is in the moment, right?
Right. And enjoy those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's brought upon by external circumstances outside your control. Like the sun is out. Like, I'm happy right now because I'm warm and dry. But joyful, withstands external circumstances that are unwanted. So
right.
If you're joyful when the rain is coming down on your head, you're not happy, but you're joyful, right? Because you're purposeful and you're living out your life as a man. So in my mind, they're two different things.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I told you it's going to be a great show today. We're going to talk. We got three men here going to talk about men. This is Man Day, official Man Day. And I deserve the right to talk about men because I are one. I've lived one. I want to be one. How about you?
Same.
How about you?
Absolutely.
I'm going to carry my manhood, but I want to give it back. That's what this show's about. Three men here want to give you what we've achieved, and we want to give it back to you. Now, whether you take it or not, I don't care. Doesn't matter. But we're going to be here to talk about it. So come on back. You're listening to About Your House. Boy, if this ain't true about your house, because you can't have a real house without a man. Oh, yep, I said it. I said it. There you go. Come on back. We'll talk some more.
Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, CarolinaFoundationSolutions.com.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to About Your House. Got David Redding, attorney at law, Dr. Tunis Hunt. Hunt for Wellness. We're going to talk about wellness and all kinds of groovy things about men. And it's a time to where I hope a lot of men can listen and share. It's a time for sharing because most men really want to be honest and the best they can be, the best version of themselves they can be. A lot of you don't know how, because of status quo, social pressures, and you keep trying. You ain't figured out how to be yet. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is searching for that real man. It's there, and with all the, and I'm going to stay away from, I'm going to try my best to stay away from the political arena today. And I have to preface the up and coming months on this show too, I want to stay away from the political crap. I really do, because it confuses life's issues. It gets people divided, which I'm not for division. I'm for unity, because we all are one, whether you believe that or not. We're all interconnected. And when it comes to man and woman, that's it. You've got men and you've got women. For all this gender, sexual, biological crap they're politicizing, not, homie, don't play that. You got men and women. We're going to talk about the man side of the fence today. Okay. And I'm going to start it by going to Miss Dr. Tunis Hunt here, chiropractic specialist in partnership with your wife.
Correct.
Estella. I was close. Estella. Okay. And you're from St. Louis.
Born in St. Louis, but moved to the Charlotte region as a baby.
Oh, okay. Because that's where I was going next.
Yeah. My father, when he graduated chiropractic school, my father was a chiropractor, and had an aunt here in Charlotte, and the other option was Denver, Colorado. So kind of flipped the coin, and here we are, 1978.
So you grew up here?
Grew up here. So yeah, my parents were Charlotteans from the very, early stages.
Mm-hmm.
77 was a 2-lane highway. Had to bring your own liquor into the store or the restaurant type of thing. So they've seen a lot of the Charlotte growing up. We were out in the Lake Wiley area, so the South Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
So actually jumped the border.
Where, can I ask, where were you raised? You said Lake Wiley area.
Yeah, so specifically River Hills, the community.
I know
so
it very
right when
well.
you come across the Buster Boyd Bridge, went to Clover High School,
Okay.
and
I've done a lot of work in River Hills through the years.
I'm sure. So it's one of those older neighborhoods.
Yeah, it was one of the older planned neighborhoods
Correct.
around TK and Raintree style.
That's right.
It was-
After the
that's
Hilton Head
yeah,
model.
yeah,
I think
exactly.
Can't remember exactly what neighborhood they modeled it after, but
It
Sea
had,
Pines maybe I think is
well, that whole kind of flavor. Yeah.
correct. So grew up in River Hills, went to the Clover school system, enjoyed playing
Rural.
sports.
That
It was very rural.
Matter of fact, River Hills was big subdivision in in that Clover area,
exactly.
but it wasn't anything like it is today.
Well, no. I mean, between, let's say, Carowinds Boulevard, even then, wasn't very developed, and River Hills, there was nothing but woods. And if you go down there today, I mean, it's another
Belmont or Mount Holly.
Yeah, it's
it's
a lot of development.
blowed up,
Absolutely.
literally blown up.
So I'm still in that area. I'm on the Charlotte side
I
of
was going to
things.
say where you at? You're Charlotte
Yeah, so
now.
the Palisades neighborhood.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So on the North Carolina side of things.
You just jumped the water.
Just jumped the water. That was my wife's doing. She's from Miami, Florida, and she when she first came to the Charlotte region, I guess this was 2004-ish, 2005. It's still Rivergate, that community shopping area down there wasn't developed yet. 485 was just a concept still, just early stages. And she's like, I'm not going to drive more than 10 minutes to go to a restaurant. So she was like, this is too rural for me. So we lived on the Charlotte end of things, not in the Palisades at that time, but
I got you, that area.
She wanted to be close to our office, which is off of Westinghouse and South Tryon Street.
Okay.
So she thought, if we're going to influence neighbors to come see us and community, we want to live near the office versus people having to travel across town just to see us at the time. So
That's awesome. And so you're a chiropractor like your father. When did that come at you? I mean, because
as far as my inspiration to be a chiropractor,
yeah.
Well, I remember in 10th grade, my parents took me to a dinner, and during that during that dinner, we had the conversation of, "Hey, are you interested in doing this?" I'm the oldest of 3 siblings.
I was going to go
or
there.
Two
Yeah. Awesome.
siblings. I'm the oldest of 3, and a brother who's about 16, 17 months younger than me, and then a sister who's about 4 or 5 years younger than me. And so being the eldest, my father was kind of forecasting ahead of, I think, his own retirement plan. Like, if
Well, he had a son, and you got to know.
that's right.
You
That's
plant
right.
the seeds, and maybe it'll grow, and
who knows? Yeah. So my
Yeah.
wife and I now have a 17-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. So same concept, I was probably 16, 17, and they sat me down and said, listen, if you're interested, great. I'll plan accordingly. If you're not, we understand, I'll look elsewhere as far as my own retirement plan. And at the time I thought, why not? I mean, I enjoyed, having my dad around at the time. The chiropractic profession allowed him to have a really good lifestyle. We were able to see him a lot. He was home every night. We went on great, family vacations. And I just felt like I am interested in health and wellness as well. Why not do it? So it was about then. And so I finished high school and went into college with that mindset.
Where'd you go to college?
University of South Carolina.
Okay.
So went down there 4 years, graduated with an exercise science bachelor's degree. And
Hold it.
yeah,
Exercise
science.
bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's chiropractic written all over it.
Well, it really was. So I entered college with a chemistry major, thinking, well, I had to pick a science major to get the prerequisites for chiropractic school. So I was interested in chemistry. I had a good chemistry teacher in high school, and thought, why not? Well, it took me about a semester before I realized I maybe don't want to be a chemistry major. Some of those upper level classes weren't necessary for the chiropractic profession. And I thought, why put myself through that? And I reevaluated the majors and learned about the exercise science program. And to your point, many of those people go into physical therapy or chiropractic or even cardiac rehab type of scenarios.
I'm going to speak for what I've learned, because I've been involved personally with the medical industry with 2 wives. That's right, 2. And chiropractors have been shunned, criticized, and various other things. You know what I'm talking about, through the years as less than. Well, I'm going to tell you from experience, there's some chiropractors out there that will give you more help medically than any MD that's involved in the system, if you get my drift. I've known some absolutely wonderful doctors, MDs, and I've known some ones that I wouldn't rely on for the time of day. But I've also met some very, very compassionate, empathetic, and caring chiropractors. And most chiropractors are in it for that reason, to help people and to help people with their issues. Because, look, health is wealth. Your Bible name is Hunt for Wellness. So the wellness is what took you where you're at, right? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. I went into chiropractic because of my father's influence, and really from a lifestyle perspective I've thought, this would be a great way of spending life and doing things. But once I got into the chiropractic curriculum and really learned more about the healing power of the body and what we're able to do with that, and just
about anything.
Exactly. And the ability to help people, to your point, that's where the passion really grew out of it. And just like probably most of us are familiar with, once you kind of get involved with something and you find a purpose in it, it just continues to grow. And over the years, as I started as a chiropractor, I had a moment where I really wanted to get a deeper dive into overall wellness. And that's where we pivoted our name from Hunt Chiropractic to Hunt for Wellness, from a perspective of that. And there was many years where I did a lot of lab testing with patients. We did things to look at overall what we called functional wellness or functional health, functional medicine.
Very familiar.
These are all terms that are used. But what was happening is having patients come in with all types of medical concerns. And they were coming in, of course, for the back pain and the neck pain and so forth. But they'd ask questions about cholesterol or weight loss or diabetes or thyroid. And I didn't know what to tell them other than, Google it, look it up. I don't have an answer for you. But over the years, I started to develop a desire to have a better answer. And that's really where the deep dive began for me, where I started going back to get some postgraduate work in thyroid and functional medicine and blood chemistry, and really wanted to have a better understanding of how the human body worked and what we could do as individuals on a day-to-day basis to optimize it. Because I think a lot of times we're told that we have to just settle with our genetics and just live life one day at a time and be fixed one day versus taking control of it.
And I've heard that cop out. You just said, well, it's genetics.
Mm-hmm.
Bull crap.
Well, it is bull crap from a standpoint of we have a lot of power. There's, of course, genetic enrolled.
There's
in
genetic traits, and
Correct.
You're right, it's there, but it doesn't dominate.
Well, there's a term called epigenetics, and it's
Thank
this
you.
idea that
Dr. Joe's uses that a lot.
Right. It's this idea that, yes, we have this
Epigenetics,
genetic makeup, but there's really things that turn on and off certain expressions of our genes.
And that's between your ears, folks.
A lot of it.
That's called your brain. We're powerful, powerful creatures. God gave us so much, but you've been dumbed down to the point where you have to ask somebody. You got a brain too.
That's correct.
You're intelligent. Why don't you use it? Oh, I got to check with somebody. I don't.
There's a lot to be said to intuition, for sure, and kind of listening to your body and
Tune in.
That's correct.
Tunis.
There you go. Who knows? Maybe it's divine intervention on that one.
But seriously, and that's part of what you do.
Correct.
Is
So
help
I
guide
mean,
people to be in touch with who they are, because each one of us are healers. We have our own. We have our ability to heal ourselves.
well, yes, we have this we use a term called innate intelligence, and correct. And I always use an analogy of, a wilted plant when I speak on occasion. And this idea that if someone noticed a wilted plant, or if I asked you gentlemen, give me some suggestions on helping this wilted plant, it's very easy. You're going to tell me to put it in the sun, give it some water, check the fertilizer, check the nutrients. In other words,
Right.
give it what it needs, remove some of the things it doesn't need, and it knows how to heal itself.
Right.
And the human body is very similar. You give the body what it needs, you take away some of the crap that we put into it,
Oh my gosh.
and the body's
yeah.
able to rebound.
Right. And walk barefooted.
Grounding, right?
I came in last Saturday and asked Richton here, I says, when's the last time you went barefooted? Because he's got ailments, And I says, when's the last time you went barefooted? He says, when I was at the beach. I says, when was that? He says, a year ago. I says, take off your dang shoes and walk barefooted. Well, I don't know if I believe in that. You ought to, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of scientific proof that shows just the grounding aspect of the electrons and the ions and different energy forces in our bodies, that if you walk on bare feet on the grass or the sand or whatever, it's
Grounding,
very
yeah.
calming.
That's why walking on the beach, if you go to the beach and you don't take off your shoes and walk on the beach, you're crazy. It's free. Don't cost nothing. Kind of tickles too, And another thing you can do that's very effective for your health is walk on gravel barefooted. Yeah, people say, oh, that hurts. That's the point. You're stimulating all those nerves and things that you never do otherwise. That's why foot rubs feel so darn good, right?
Absolutely. Had a massage yesterday, and that's my favorite part.
Touch therapy.
Correct. Yeah. There's something powerful about being touched and having hands on. And that's really kind of one of the basics of chiropractic. Chiro means hands, and the hands-on approach. And there's some healing aspect with that.
Reiki. If you don't know what Reiki is, it's energetic healing. Is that pretty good terminology?
Sure.
You into Reiki?
I personally am not, but
You know it.
I absolutely know about it, and big fan of all types of modalities that people turn to really benefit their overall health.
That's another thing I love about chiropractors. You're broad-minded. You're very open thinking, and you said modalities. Most people in the medical industry never use that word. In the woo-woo world, you hear it a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And see, you know what the woo-woo world is, right?
Correct. Now, I mean, obviously, like every profession, you have good ones and bad ones,
I
and
know.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
we said that.
yeah, absolutely.
But there's connectivity and on a spiritual level with your body as well. And we're talking about things that tie right into F3 as well. And you say, what's F3? That's what I want to kind of fast track here. You're pushing 50, 47, you said?
Correct.
47. Okay. And you've been in Charlotte your whole life, practically.
Pretty much, yes.
What took you to F3?
Well, just being invited, actually, by a patient. A patient let me know about a workout that was nearby. I was already, as you can imagine, into wellness and health.
Right.
I was already getting up at 5 a.m. and working out in a gym and had a routine. In fact, I was introduced to F3 many years prior to joining it by my brother, who was in the more metro uptown Charlotte area. I was a little bit further geographically away and learned about it, thought it looked good, but at the time it was a 20-minute drive in the morning for me. And I was like, well, I'm already doing exercise. I can't imagine why I need to go spend 40 minutes of drive time to work out. And so I kind of let it go. And a couple years later, ran into some other gentlemen I knew down in the Fort Mill region. Same concept. Hey, we're doing this thing called F3. Oh, I've heard about it. What is it? Oh, you come out and work out. Great. Well, I'm already doing that again. At the time, geographically, it was just, at the 15, 20-minute drive. And I was like, I don't know. So it finally took a patient saying, I heard of this thing F3 again. So I was getting ready to tell them the same, excuse of what I already do. And he's like, would they have this one right here? And at the time, it was literally across the street from my house. And so at that moment, I said, well, there's no excuse. I'll go check it out, see what it's doing. It is. And day one, I recognized the value of it. Not only was it a great workout, and I'm sure Dredd will hit on this, but it's really more about the male community that you become part of.
Back
And-
to the military concept.
Yeah, and
that
I was never
speaking
part of the military, but I was part of a fraternity in or college, and some of that brotherhood aspect. And
Uh-huh.
as men, we lose that as we continue in our life. We get married, we get kids, we get isolated, we get in these
You get
detached, and Dredd does a great job of explaining the categories of men and our friendships. But anyway, I knew what I was missing day one, and I really
It was pretty obvious,
it was
wasn't it?
very obviously that I was a lonely man, sad clown, didn't know it. I did a lot of good things, but there was a lot of things, specifically male leadership and other qualities and characteristics that I was not developing. That F3 over the years have really enhanced my life. But that first workout was back in 2016 in Southwest Charlotte, and been an avid what we call poster or post in the gloom guy ever since.
That's great. So you're a consistent F3 participant now.
Absolutely. 4 days a week, most weeks.
Right. Gotcha. And now we're going to go into what F3 is all about and why, and coming up here, but I'm up against the clock here and I don't want to get that. David Redding is co-founder. And David, where are you from?
Connecticut.
Yeah, that's right. And you had his story is wild, and we're going to get to his story next and find out why we're going to talk, because I want to get him out of the way so we can talk about, get down to brass tacks about what us men really need to do to be better at what we do. And that's just being men. Simple. It's pretty simple, but we've got to stop trying and just learn to be what we are. And that's men. So, and get rid of the fear. Don't you find David Redding, Dredd, is a litigator, an attorney. How long you been attorneying?
27 years.
Yeah, and he's going to tell his story, but here's a man had no idea he was going to be an attorney until later in life. Well, somewhat later,
30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
30. Didn't even have a clue. And he's going to tell his story and why we're even talking about it, because it's all centered around humanity being the best versions of who we are. And men, we got issues. We got a lot of issues, and we need to work on them to be the best versions of us men, and help lead, help guide, help mentor other men. And that's what Put Tools in Schools is all about. That's another side branch of what Put Tools in Schools is all about. Self-confidence, empowering. Isn't that what F3 does?
Sure. Absolutely. Hopefully at its best.
It's just a grown-up version. That's all. That's all.
It's called adult recess.
Yeah. A lot of guys say that. Yeah.
Well, but there's disciplines involved
Correct.
too. And those disciplines are what's missing in our culture because the military went away. When they did away with the draft, now I'm not for everybody joining the military to get discipline. Okay. Matter of fact, the military of today is not what I was in the military of yesterday. It's changed. It's not what it once was. I wish it was, but it's not. Things change. And they may change again. Probably will. But right now, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with David Redding, attorney at law, co-founder of F3, and author of a couple books. Couple?
2. Yeah.
I thought so. I tried to do my homework.
No, you're right in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Cool. We're going to talk to him and find out his story and learn what we can do as a community to be better men. Come on back. We'll talk about it.
About the show, go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Mike here from Crowntown Cannabis, Charlotte's original and award-winning CBD dispensary. Come find all of your hemp and CBD needs. Everything from oils, tinctures, gummies, and so much more. Find us at 2419 Central Avenue, Charlotte, 3201B North Davison in Charlotte, or 119 Country Club Drive Northeast in Concord, North Carolina. Also, find us online at crowntowncannabis.com.
The professionals at Kilo Exterminating Company have over 70 years of experience in pest control. Throughout the years, they always pride themselves on maintaining the highest standard of quality and customer service, with every technician being state certified. And moisture readings are standard with every inspection. Their top priority is ensuring your home is free from pests such as ants, mosquitoes, termites, and any other pests wreaking havoc on your home. That's Kilo Exterminating at 704-333-9855 or online, kilo.biz. That's 704-333-9855.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Listen to the moonlight. Okay. Welcome back to About Your House. David Redding, attorney at law from Connecticut. Okay, what brought you? How'd you get Charlotte? You want to tell us the short way or the long way?
The short way is pretty easy. It was the Army. So I was ROTC in college. They sent me to Fort Benning.
Okay, so you went to college.
I did go to college.
What for?
Economics.
Okay, where?
Boston College.
Okay, right out of high school.
Right out of high school. Yeah.
So you went to Boston College for economics,
I
right
did.
out of high school. Go. What was your vision?
Zero vision. Get through the next day. So
So you just wanted a degree.
yeah, because that's what I assumed everybody did, right?
You were told what to do and you did it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I got it.
I mean,
Okay.
if you peel it all the way back, if you're a kid in school and you're trying to figure out what the next thing to do is, well, study. Why? So you can go to good college.
Be educated.
Yeah, be educated.
For
Sure.
what? That's always
Yeah.
what I ask.
Yeah.
For what?
No, that's the same thing. What's the ultimate purpose? Why go?
Where are you going?
Why?
What are you
Why
going to do
do it?
with it? But
Yeah.
okay, you're an economic guy.
Right.
Okay, cool. So you're off and running. You're in economics and you went to ROTC
I was in ROTC, right?
in college. Okay. Why'd you do that?
Because I didn't have any money.
Okay,
It was
cool.
either that or go back home.
I love it. It's called survival.
Right. Well, I thought about enlisting.
So I was going to get there. So
Right.
keep going with this story here.
Well, I thought about it, when my father called me about halfway through college and he said he owned a gas station. He was a small businessman.
Oh,
and,
cool.
But he lost the gas station. So he called me up on the phone. I was a sophomore in college. And he said, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to pay your tuition anymore. And I was actually going to another school at that point, Northeastern, which is also in Boston. And he said, I'm sorry, but good luck. So, at the time, it seemed like a horrible thing. I thought about enlisting, but I kind of knew I didn't really have the heart of an enlisted man, So I just looked down at the coffee table in the apartment I was sharing with another guy, and there was a card from the ROTC department sent to him that said, if you have a pulse and you need money, you might want an ROTC scholarship. This is when Reagan was building up the military in the early 80s, talking about the end of the draft, that they had to recruit people instead of just forcing them in. So I took that card. I went down to the ROTC department the next day and I said, look, this card isn't to me, but the guy standing there grabbed me, pulled me in, said, that's okay. Grabbed my arm, said, you're a pretty muscular guy. You keep in shape. I found out later his whole job was he is assessed by his ability to recruit people in. So
that was their job.
That was their job. So I said, well, before I knew it, I was at Fort Knox for basic training. So I spent 2 years in ROTC, transferred to Boston College because I got a scholarship. I could go anywhere I could get into. And just spent 2 years there, graduated.
So ROTC was your ticket.
Yeah.
To that.
To stay in college.
I got you.
And I had no real plan. When I went to military things in ROTC, the infantry appealed to me. So I put that first choice. If you make that first choice, you're going to get it. And they sent me to Fort Benning.
No, they didn't turn you down for infantry.
Nope,
No,
didn't turn me down for infantry. And that was the first time I was really in the South. Was 1985, October of 1985, and found myself at Fort Benning and stayed 9 years. At the end of which I was at Fort Bragg because I changed over to Special Forces, and that's really the home of Special Forces.
Yep.
Exited the service almost exactly 30 years ago.
Let's talk about your Special Forces
Yeah.
a little bit. How long did you do that?
About 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
For Fort Bragg, rather.
I mean, did you take any tours anywhere?
Oh, I was at Desert Storm.
I thought so.
Yeah. And spent time in Africa. I was in 3rd Special Forces Group, and Africa was our orientated country. So not that far away from Tunisia.
Really?
A little bit farther south. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What rank did you leave with?
Captain.
You captain?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. But did you enjoy the military?
I loved it. Yeah.
And you were in for how many years?
9.
9. Yeah. Military is great up to a point. Then there's a point. You got up to a point and you left.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. At the time I made this decision, I was 30 years old, and I thought,
yeah, we were going.
Yeah. I mean, it's either get out now. It's a funny thing. I could have stayed, done my 20 and done the same thing. But, at 30, you look around, the oldest guy you're around is 40. Battalion commander is 40.
Right.
Battalion sergeant major is maybe 45. So you think of them as old. So I'm 30. I said, well, I better get out now. I'll never get out. I'll be old at 40. So that's when I went to law school.
Why law school? Here you are in the military, get out, and you really didn't have a plan.
No.
But what took you to law?
So I was always
You're an officer, though.
I was an officer.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
and you led some people.
Yeah.
You were a leader in the military.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So I'd been a platoon leader like every infantryman, and I commanded a Special Forces A team in Desert Storm. So, I had those leadership positions.
Mhm.
And then had various staff positions where you have to exert leadership. So I'd been taught the fundamentals of leadership as a deliberate process, and I'd had given the opportunity to exercise them with men. So I'd learned how to be a leader, and probably the best place you can learn how to do it.
No doubt. You
Yeah.
had a great classroom, great platform.
Yep, absolutely. So
The best.
Yep. So I'd always been very good at persuasion and debate, that kind of thing in the military. Like I've been called upon to do that. And people had said to me, man, you ought to think about being a lawyer more than once. And I said, okay. When I decided to get out, I wasn't really interested in economics. I mean, that was my undergrad. I hadn't really thought about it in 10 years. So I said, yeah, I'll see if I can get into law school. And I got into Wake Forest. And so that's where I went here in North Carolina. Met my wife there. She's from Asheville. And that's how we ended up in Charlotte.
Cool. Neat story.
Yeah.
And law. So when was that? I mean, you went 4 years college?
4 years undergrad, Boston College, graduated in 1985, graduated from Wake Forest Law School in 1997. Bounced around a little bit, but I got here in Charlotte in 1999. And been here
and
ever
you
since.
started your practice in 2007.
Exactly.
What'd you do from 99 to 2007? Work for other people?
Work for other people.
The OP factor?
Yeah. Well, it's good. You can come right out of law school and hang your own shingle, but it's difficult to do that. But I learned the practice of law from other people.
Cool. And here in Charlotte as well?
Yeah, to a great degree.
So you knew Charlotte, which is, to me, an environmental situation that, if you're an attorney, you got to play their way, I guess.
Funny about being an attorney, it's probably one of the freest jobs you ever have. We have codes of ethics, obviously, but if you have a license to practice law, you really work for yourself. You can't be fired. They can tell you to leave your firm, but I mean, if you have a license to practice law, you can practice law any day you want without anybody telling you how to do it. It's very different from the medical profession. I always tell my buddies who are doctors, who have lawyers in government telling them how much they should make. If you ask a lawyer how much he makes, we'll say, that's attorney-client privilege. So I guess because we write the law, in a sense, we write it, in our favor. But being a lawyer is one of the last few places where nobody can tell you how to do it.
Right. So you went into law, okay, worked for other people.
Yep.
In 2007, you opened your own practice.
I did.
What'd you start in?
What kind of practice?
Yes, sir.
Construction, kind of what, business you're in. That's what I've been doing. And I still do a lot of construction law, but I also do maybe broader based contract law, contract disputes. But
right.
If I know how to do it, I'll do it. And if somebody needs help, they say, what kind of clients do you take? I say, the ones that can pay my bill. If they have a legal dispute and they can pay my bill, yeah. And half the time, it turns out, but some percentage of the time, they can't pay my bill, and I represent them anyway, because that's what we do.
Yeah. And tell people what a litigator is.
Well, a litigator is somebody who resolves disputes through trial. So my litigator's mission is to prepare for trial in order to resolve disputes as quickly and efficiently as possible. So that's what we do. Through that process, we hope to do it without going to trial, in the same way the soldier hopes to resolve geopolitical disputes without going to war. But every once in a while, it's necessary. And I say it's necessary in litigation when there's one crazy person involved. In other words, if you have two lawyers and two parties, you will resolve that dispute short of trial unless one of the lawyers or one of the parties is crazy, because trial is kind of crazy. You're leaving it to 12 people, 12 strangers to determine the outcome rather than compromising the outcome yourself. But there are crazy people out there, and because there are, we have to have the skill of trying a case.
Got it. We got to take a break here. Got to take a break. No, it's top of the hour. Yeah, first hour's gone. Not that I want to celebrate because it's fun. Let's come back and do it another hour next hour. You want to? Let's do. You're listening to About Your House on Fox Sports Charlotte. Download the free app. Stream us live. That's the way to hear us now. Radio gone forever, probably. Podcast's the way to go. The new trend, I guess. We're doing it anyway. Fox Sports Charlotte on your browser, foxsportsradiocharlotte.com, Facebook Live on About Your House Radio's page, YouTube Live. And for all you listeners out there, go to YouTube. The audio on it's much, much more loud, crisp, and easier to hear. I don't know why. just is. Come back, second hour coming up. Tunis Hunt, Dr. Tunis Hunt, along with David Redding, attorney, both F3 men. We'll talk about that and a lot more when we come back.
You awake yet? Coming up, hour 2, Dr. Tunis Hunt, aka Bones of Hunt for Wellness, and David Redding, an attorney, author, and founder of F3, continue the conversation about manhood and will give everyone tips on ways to improve your overall health and well-being. About Your House is brought to you by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. About Your House is always brought to you in part by Carolina Foundation Solutions, a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina from the hills to the coast. If you have a problem, they have a solution. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us as we spread a little love. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right, welcome back to About Your House, hour number 2. Dr. Tunis Hunt, chiropractor, in the house, huntforwellness.com. That's the URL. And then I've got Mr. David Redding, Dredd, attorney at law, on the program today talking about men. And I was before the break there, top of the hour break, we're talking to David about his attorney adventure journey. And 2007, you opened your own solo.
Yep, sure did.
On your shingle.
Still have it.
Yeah, and it's still doing the practice, although you're not by yourself anymore.
No, we've got about 9 lawyers now.
9 lawyers?
Yeah.
Grew a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And y'all practice everything. From
litigation.
I gather.
Commercial litigation.
Commercial litigation.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in 2007, you hung your shingle out. You became Mr. Attorney David Redding, and since then developed quite a reputation of being a good litigator, good attorney. But you've got, as an attorney, what are the first 3 things you do? you need to know 3 things. Or the client does. I read this.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I was like,
I know I was cornering you there. I said, "Oh dear, I've trapped him." No, and you know what I'm talking about.
well, I think you might be talking about the essential skills of a litigator. Might be.
Well, that'll work.
Okay. So cross closing counsel. So you remember when we were in the Army, we had those books that all the tasks you have to do, and I try to boil it down to make it simpler for young attorneys. The main 3 things you have to do as an infantryman: shoot, move, and communicate. Right? Those are the main 3 things. Well, the main 3 things you have to do as a litigator, you have to be able to cross closing counsel, cross examination of a hostile witness in front of a jury. Excuse me. Make a closing argument in front of a jury, and counsel your client through the litigation process. So the 3 C's.
Gotcha.
Those are the essential skills. You have to do those with excellence. Everything else, you just have to be good at it, good enough at it.
Gotcha. But the most important thing we all do every day, and I have to say this on every program of About Your House, the most important thing you're going to do every day, and you just brought it up, is communicate. You cannot be in the military unless you communicate well, or you will die.
Exactly. Shoot, move, and communicate. Right. You got to be able to shoot your rifle. You have to put down effective fire. Then you have to move because you can get shot at. Right. So you have to move to a better position, but you have to do that with a buddy. You have to communicate that. So
or several buddies.
But the most basic elemental buddy team movement to contact is you cover, I'll move. So your buddy shoots, you get up and move for 3 seconds and get back down, and you do the same for him. And that's the basic building blocks of any military operation. There's 2 guys working in concert, and it's really not that different than any other field.
You can't achieve anything alone. Wouldn't you agree with that, guys?
You're at risk.
Yeah.
Alone.
There should be no aloneness. Speaking of which, as an attorney, did you ever get lonely?
No, it's constantly lonely. That's why we started F3.
That's the story I want to hear.
Yeah. So, I started my own firm. I was by myself for the first couple of years, as I insisted on doing it my own way, which is fine.
You're a bit hard-headed.
Yeah, a bit hard-headed. But I realized, I had this very long trial in York County, South Carolina. It was like 3 or 4 weeks long. I had to drive to York every day. And the rest of my practice, luckily, my wife was kind of helped me out. She'd go and answer the mail and make sure, we didn't screw up. But I got to the end of that. I had a good outcome. I had 1 bill to send, and I sent it to the client. Luckily, we won the case because they paid it pretty quickly. Otherwise, I couldn't have paid my mortgage. But I was exhausted. I was lying on the carpet in my office looking at this, the sprinkler head. So I was looking on there rusty, I was thinking, just sitting there thinking. If I'd gotten sick, there was about 5 or 6 things I thought about. If they had happened, I would have been in deep trouble. And I realized that I couldn't do this anymore, that I either needed to find a new field, go into another firm, maybe, I've been out on my own for a few years, or I needed to start building a team around me.
OP.
Yeah, those are my only choices because I couldn't keep going as a singleton. I just gotten lucky, really. And I couldn't count on being lucky again because that's not what a pro does. That's what an amateur does. A pro doesn't count on luck. A pro counts on preparation. So at that point, this is 2000 and
you're growing up by then, right? I can tell there's a little maturity going on here.
Yeah. It was like 2011-ish.
Yeah.
About the same time as we started F3. I started building the firm up, hiring people, bringing people in, and operating as a team rather than as an individual.
And how did F3 come about?
So about the same time.
Have you written a book yet, by the way?
Yeah, no, we hadn't written the book yet. So
okay, the book's not written here.
No, this was me searching for something. I'd recently come to faith in 2007, and I was kind of searching for a way to do something with that. I understood that it wasn't enough just to be of faith, but to do something. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was in Bible studies and I would volunteer at homeless shelters, but nothing really triggered me. And then I went out to this workout in 2009 that was in Freedom Park in Charlotte. It already existed. And it was just a bunch of guys working out together, no personal trainer, just working out together. I'd been invited to go out there, and I realized that was my mission field. And I met my co-founder of F3 there. He was already there.
What's his name?
OBT, Tim Whitmire.
Okay.
And that original workout was called the Campos, pre-existing. We were there for about a year and a half, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it got too big. It got into the 30s where we lost the fellowship. And then we branched out and started a new one at AG Middle School on January 1st, 2011 to siphon off, so we didn't have so many guys at the original workout. And we thought we'd have like 5 guys maybe, and it'd be really cool if we did. And we had 30 on the first day, and we've never had less. I mean, the challenge has always been for F3 is keeping up with how many guys are coming out, how many guys actually need it. So it wasn't called F3 then, wasn't called anything. We didn't have any of this 3Fs or any of the doctrine we have now. We just developed that as we went along out of necessity. So that's how it started.
And now
we're in 49 states. I think we're not in Maine.
Wait a minute. You started this. When did it get its name F3?
So maybe about 6 months into it, one of the original guys who's not even there anymore, doesn't even come anymore, comes in and says, you know what this really is? There's really like 3 components to it. There's like a fitness component, a fellowship component, a faith component. It's like 3 Fs. So I was like, no, okay, F3, good. So that's how the name came in. Yeah.
Done. So F3 got its name that way.
Yeah.
Faith, fitness, and fellowship.
Fitness, fellowship, and faith. The order actually does matter because fitness is the magnet. That's what draws guys in. Fellowship is the glue. That's what keeps them there. And then faith is the dynamite. That's what makes them want to bring other men in and do things like Bones did. So Bones, I mean, I didn't even know Bones. I just was listening to a podcast, an F3 podcast. Bones started calling in. And he would call in, and initially it was just him, he'd say, you really ought to get out in the sun, and here's why. And then suddenly he had a little music in the background. He's a little polish to it. And so every week he would have this, Bones calling in with this health tip of whatever it was, health.
Yeah.
Yep. Here's your Bones health tip. And one of them was intermittent fasting, that you brought up on the break. And that gave birth to his podcast, which is the Hunt for Wellness podcast, where he goes into depth about things and he interviews an F3 guy who's maybe found a way to be healthier. And he asks him about it, and people listen to that and go, oh, I'll try that. Intermittent fasting is a very good example. I was listening to that podcast in depth, and I gave it a shot. I was like, oh, this is
Do you intermittent fast now?
Yeah, but I try to have 13 hours between my last meal of the day and my next meal of the day. That's
at least 13.
13.
Right. Yeah, I got it.
That's what I try to do based on that podcast I listen to. So that's a big part of F3 is we say, hey, if you care about something, if you have the passion for it, well, then share it with the other guys and we'll learn from each other.
Well, that's how we learn anyway.
That's how we were set up to learn. I think at a break you were talking about how school is, so school, that 30 kids in 5 rows or whatever, that comes from the German education model of the late 19th century from Bismarck, trying to prepare good, obedient people to work in factories.
I know.
That's where that whole thing comes from. It has nothing to do with the way we're supposed to learn.
I know.
And it's completely unnatural. I mean, if you're a young kid, a boy in school, and you're acting up and you don't feel right sitting in this,
it's not natural. It's totally insane.
It's
from
not natural.
the way God made us.
Right.
Boys especially are meant to run, play, be active. That's who they are. Oh no, you got to take a pill. We got to simmer you down.
Medicate you.
People, you're crazy. You're absolutely off your chain if you give your kids drugs to calm them down in school. You're a part of the problem of our kids.
Well, I think it's.
And who am I to say that? Nobody.
I think it's people living their lives. Usually they're not going to do a deep dive into why they're doing it one way or the other, right?
They're doing what they're told.
They're doing what they learned and before them, and whatever that whole kind of crazy, Prussian military school system came about. I get why we do that, but if you look at the way people learned for forever, take the Socratic method, literally Socrates, and Jesus did it the same way. Much smaller group of people, like 12-ish, right? And their combined physicality.
Tribes.
Right. Well, both Jesus and Socrates kind of did the same thing. If you look what Jesus did, he takes 12 men, they move, they walk, they're physical. He stops somewhere, he teaches them something. He tells them something. He shows it to them, and then he gives them a chance to do it for themselves. Right?
And that's when they learn.
Exactly. He withdraws from them for a moment, so they have to try to put it into action themselves. Socrates did the same thing. That's actually the way, at least men, I think, are geared to learn. I would guess girls, but I don't know because I'm a man. But that's the natural and most effective way to learn, to have a formal bit of education provided to you, like whiteboarding it, here's some tenets or whatever, try to grasp those, then an opportunity to put them to use yourself with a guy standing right there as an apprentice, then an opportunity to do it without the apprentice right there, and then you can fail a little bit and come back around and do it again. That's the F3 model of leadership training, of schooling, apprenticeship, opportunity, and failure. And that's what we believe is the best way to learn how to do something. That's how we teach leadership.
It's the godly way.
I think so.
It is the way.
I think so.
It's the natural way. That's how we work as human beings. I've watched it my whole life. I know you have, and I know you have. We learn by doing, not by listening. Well, we have to listen to learn. That's another quality men have a problem with, is listening. You know, we're not taught to listen in a way that's beneficial to us. We listen a lot, not all. A lot of men listen to react, to talk. You know, and what's the worst thing we do is react. Shut up. Think about what you say before you say it. You know, as an attorney, that ever got you in trouble?
Well, problem for an attorney is that we have to talk. Obviously, that's part of our job. But I know young attorneys coming out of law school are very frustrated because they're taught two very important things that you need, components of being an attorney. Number one, they're taught the law. Law school is doing a very effective job of taking the law and putting it into your brain so you can pass the bar. They also do a pretty good job of teaching you how to think like an attorney. And if you ever spend time around an attorney, you realize that we think kind of backwards from the average person. We think in a different way. But you have to learn how to do that. The thing that law schools don't, and I say can't teach, is the practical skill of what it is an attorney does. That you have to learn through an apprenticeship. But there is no apprenticeship system in American litigation. There is none. That doesn't exist. You go out to a law firm with your license to practice law, and if you happen to work under an older attorney who both knows what he's doing, is good at it, but also the separate and different skill of teaching it, then you're blessed. But for the most part, we do not have that. And it's certainly not institutionalized within the practice of law.
And that's part of what F3 does.
We do it through leadership.
Exactly, through leadership.
So F3 became a leadership group to answer a problem. So in our early success, either OBT and I, we led the groups because we'd been learned how to do it. And I taught OBT the military way to do it. Same way you'd recognize it if you came out to a workout.
Oh, sure.
Same thing. Next exercise is side straddle hop, starting position move,
Sure.
in cadence exercise, because it's a simple, effective way to lead a workout. When we started to get too big and we decided we needed to split up, the first guy we tapped, he said, we're going to have you lead this new workout. He said, I don't know how to do it. I said, we got to teach you how to do it. And F3 leadership was born at that moment.
I hear you. All right, we're going to take a break here. Come on back. We'll teach you some more stuff, or at least talk about it. Whether you learn it or not, you won't until you practice it. We just said that, remember? You don't learn until you do, right?
Yeah.
100%.
You might memorize it. You might learn the rules, but you don't really learn until you do it.
Yeah.
We just got to do more to learn more. We'll be back.
Want to find out more about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
The professionals at Kilo Exterminating Company have over 70 years of experience in pest control. Throughout the years, they always pride themselves on maintaining the highest standard of quality and customer service, with every technician being state certified. And moisture readings are standard with every inspection. Their top priority is ensuring your home is free from pests such as ants, mosquitoes, termites, and any other pests wreaking havoc on your home. That's Kilo Exterminating at 704-333-9855 or online kilo.biz. That's 704-333-9855.
Crown Town Cannabis, Charlotte's original CBD store. Not only do we have CBD products, we have all kind of natural holistic products for your health and wellness. Come see for yourself at one of our 3 Charlotte and surrounding locations: 2419 Central Avenue, Charlotte, 3201B North Davison Street, Charlotte, or 119 Country Club Drive Northeast in Concord, North Carolina. Also find us online at crowntowncannabis.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. If you want to call, add something, ask a question to Dr. Tunis Hunt, Bones, or Dread, give us a call at 704-227-8986. And phone line's open, no problem. We're here for you. Talking, like I said, to Dr. Tunis Hunt, chiropractor, and David Redding, attorney at law, talking about F3 and, kind of men. Health, wellness, mental health. Right now, there's a tremendous mental health issue in this country overall, and we're kind of talking about it because fellowship is a great cure for a mental health issue. Because right?
Absolutely.
And it's a byproduct of F3, a mental health therapy. Because when you talk, when you can bond, have fellowship, it's very therapeutic and healthy for you, And F3 started right here in Charlotte. Where is it today?
So 49 states. I think we're not in Maine. If I've checked.
Now,
the
how
website.
did it grow like that? I mean,
an exact way that Bones described earlier, which is a guy goes out, he gets fit, he finds friends, and then he suddenly wants to share that that benefit that he had, and he starts naturally doing what we call the emotional headlock. He goes to his chiropractor. He's like, "Doc, you really ought to do this. Doc, you really ought to do this." He goes to his brother-in-law. He said, "Bob, you really ought to do this. You really ought to do this."
right.
And if your brother-in-law is in Raleigh, well, we don't have it in Raleigh, right? Well, somebody's going to have to go from Charlotte to Raleigh to what we call plant the workout. So
Plant the seed.
plant the seed. That's how it works. So Doc described the progress of he heard about it. It was too far away. It crept closer and closer and closer until it's across the street, and he can no longer use that as an excuse, right?
That's right.
And so that's why we keep planting flags everywhere we can to make it more and more difficult for people to say no.
Right.
They take away the excuses, right? Well, I don't know where the workout. I'll come pick you up. You know?
Okay. Let's talk about the F3 workouts. Okay. So y'all work out every day.
There's an F3 workout pretty much every day, everywhere we are. Yeah.
Now, what's that consist of? You say a workout. Tell them what it is.
So there are no rules whatsoever about what it is, other than it has to be outdoors, so
All right.
it's accessible. It has to be led by somebody in the group. We don't hire professionals. There can be no cost to it. Like it has to be free. So that's basically what it is. It could be what we call boot camp workout, which you'd recognize. That's how it started. You'd
Sure.
recognize that from the Army. It could be just a running workout. It could be a cycling workout, right? We have F3 cyclers. There really is no limitation. We have core workouts, which mean no running. We have gear workouts, which means generally kettlebells and sandbags. Anything a guy decides in his own head, hey, I want to do this, I want to start it. There's no bars whatsoever. He can find a place, parking garage, Walmart parking lot, school, doesn't matter. Ask one other guy, get him out there, and that's how it goes. So typical F3 workout is going to be 45 minutes during the week, 60 minutes on a Saturday.
Early?
That's typical. It's generally going to be early. Saturdays is so you can get your kids out to the first soccer game. You know, that's how it started. So that's why it's 7:00 on Saturdays. During the week, they're going to be usually about 5:30 in the morning, so you can get your kids on the bus. So the idea is to take a hour of the day where no one else is really called upon you.
Right.
You know, so your wife doesn't need you. Hey, honey, that's what my wife said. As long as you're back here by 6:45 to help me put those kids on the bus, you're good. That's why we pick those times. Now, we're starting to get into the millennials and all these, you know, they don't have kids, whatever. We have some afternoon workouts, but the great majority of them are early.
Demographics. You just hit on something. Demographics of F3. Are you getting younger?
Well, I'd say we're probably steady. 43 is the modal age. It's the most common age, 43 years old. We have a lot of guys who are older than that. Obviously, I'm 60, you know, but I've been doing it for a while. But
you're eat up with it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
don't
Well,
know.
we have younger guys too. But if you plotted along a normal curve, early 40s would be the mean. But the mode, you know, the most common age is 43.
Well, speaking of age, you know, I found through the years that 40 is the year of reckoning, so to speak,
Yeah.
with men. 40. What?
That's 43. Yeah, that's what we call that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most men don't have their heads all the way out, if you get my drift, until they're 40. And unfortunately today it goes beyond that quite a bit with some men. What I mean is you're lost. You're trying to find yourself or more purpose filled. And we all need that in our lives to just be complete. It's just who we are. And I think what we're talking about with F3, and it doesn't have to be with an organization of F3. You can do this on your own, but you have to do it. You know, speaking of health, you know, I love people and I love to people watch. Airports, Vegas, those kind of places you see a lot of people. You know, and don't mean to offend anyone, but I'm going to just hit the nail on the head. A lot of men out there are overweight.
Absolutely.
Got guts.
50% are obese in America.
They're obese. They're overweight. And that is that's a problem for health reasons and many reasons. Are you dealing with that in your practice?
Well, of
much?
course. Yeah. I mean, I think across the board in any demographic, community, you're going to see this obesity problem, this overweight problem It's lack of energy issue. So now, obviously, there's individuals who are more in tune with their health and they're doing things that are quote unquote health lifestyle related. And a lot of times chiropractic fits that for people because they recognize the benefit of getting adjustments. And so we do attract a lot of quote unquote healthier individuals in a chiropractic practice, but certainly we have that population that unfortunately doesn't have that dialed in.
Right. Our diet, our food sources in this country are terrible. And men are somewhat stubborn creatures and they eat it. Why? Because it's good. And I like it.
It's addicting.
Yeah. Food.
By design.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And we do not need 3 meals a day as human beings. We don't. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're alluding to this concept of what they term intermittent fasting in today's society. But yeah, we historically speaking, evolutionary speaking, if you will, we're hunter gatherers. We got hungry, went out and caught or
Like animals.
killed an animal, and we feasted on it. And we didn't have this readily available caloric opportunity to ingest this food on, at a given moment. Today, there's zero effort to eat your food. You can literally sit on your phone on your couch, push a button, and 25 minutes later, a guy's at the door with food that you can put into your mouth. So there was zero effort even to go buy, shop. And certainly, historically speaking, we would have to go and kill that food or grow that food or whatever that was. And so, yeah, I think that's part of the main problem is we're just we overindulge because it's readily available to us. And really, a lot of people eat emotionally. They're bored. They're addicted to the chemicals in this food, and obviously destroys their body.
And it does destroy your body. And there's a thing as you get older and we age, with age comes problems. Hi. As I get older, we get problems. Hormonal issues. A lot of men are short or deficit when it comes to testosterone.
That's a major epidemic in our society today. That's one of the biggest issues I think men face after the age of 35 is naturally hormones do decrease. I mean, obviously we're not meant to procreate indefinitely.
I think I'm going to try to belie that.
There you go. Having said that, we are supposed to have natural levels that are supposed to allow muscle growth, strength, endurance. And because of our sedentary lifestyles, a lot of the chemicals in our food system today, those hormones, specifically testosterone, diminishes rapidly in a lot of the population. And men find themselves fatigued, overweight, lack of energy.
They're yarny.
They're what?
They're yarny. So we
Yarny.
look at men in 3 categories. Yarn, which is soft and fragile, right?
And fluffy.
Yeah, right. String, which is thin but brittle, and rope, which is thick and durable. So we try to help men become ropey. So a rope, you think about a ropey man, right? He's thick and durable. I mean, I'm not talking about bodybuilding. I'm just talking like, you look at Bones, you can see him. He's thick and durable. His body can withstand stress. His body can withstand pain. He's got tensile strength, right? You just picture yarn. It just comes apart, right? You pull on it, it comes apart. Picture string, pull and it snaps. To be ropey, you've got to be working out hard. You got to be getting enough protein, right?
Absolutely.
You got to be building muscle, particularly once you get past 50. If we lose some percentage of our body strength as men past 50, staying ropey is even harder, is even more difficult. So that's what we try to encourage men to do.
It's called exercise, moving, doing things, using muscle. And all you muscle builders out there, the weightlifters and macho men, okay, just because you can bench press 300 or 400 pounds don't make you a man. And if you think it does, grow up. Because I know some of you. Grow up. And that drives me crazy just because you got a body but can't do anything.
Well, they're getting bad signals. I mean, 50% of our population, adult population, is obese.
Yes.
And then another 20 is overweight, I think, or whatever. So, that comes from what I think of as a soft conspiracy. Nobody got in a room together on a whiteboard and said, we're going to do it this way. But you look at the food industry and they solved the problem of hunger. I mean, it's a wonderful thing if you think about it. I mean, we spent recorded human history is a search to feed yourself enough. And suddenly, I guess, around the end of the Depression, they solved it. After the Depression was over, they solved it. I mean, you can deliver 3,500 calories to a man very cheaply in America. They solved the problem, but because they're incentivized to make money, they kept going. So that's why we have too much food and too much of it is processed and too much refined sugar, all that stuff. So it's bad for you. It's bad for you. But it wasn't evil that they did that. But having done that, then the government said, well, we're going to create a chart, right? The food pyramid that says this is how you should eat.
And it's all wrong.
It's all wrong. Nobody was evil. They were heavily influenced by the food industry to do it.
Money.
So the government stamped that. Now, do we have a solution to it? Well, here comes Big Pharma with solutions. Chemicals and shots and things like Ozempic.
Pharmaceutical.
Right, pharmaceutical. Are they evil? No, they're solving a problem.
No, they're evil.
I don't think so because they're chasing profits legally, and I'm a capitalist and a liberal, so I believe in it. So you take those three aspects, right? For cheap food, readily available, the government giving you the wrong advice of what to eat, and then the resulting obesity epidemic being solved by pharma with chemicals creates yarny men and brittle, stringy men. And you have to be like, now, what I love about Bones is he's heterodox. And a lot of chiropractors are, right? Heterodox meaning they don't go with the orthodoxy. They go with the opposite. You listen to Bones tell you what to eat. You're like, wait a second. Shouldn't I eat a bunch of vegetables? He's going to tell you no. Shouldn't I eat a bunch of fruit? He's going to tell you no. Where do I get the things I need from fruit and vegetables? You get them from protein. You get them from meat. That's how we're designed, right? And don't I need to eat a wide variety of things? No. Does a dog do that? Does a moose do that? No, they eat the same thing every day. And look how durable they are. Look how ropey they are. But if you would listen to Bones tell you, and I'm going to let him talk for himself, what he will prescribe for you from a nutritional standpoint is completely heterodox. Big Food would say that's nuts. The government would say, well, that's turning the food pyramid on its head. And Big Pharma said, well, you don't need us. And that's why that kind of advice, although it is exactly right on, and I've lived it out and seen it work, is the exact.
It does work.
It does work. So I would say, but don't let me. I probably mangled it, right?
No, you did a great job.
Okay, but explain it if you don't mind. I want to hear him explain.
No, that's what we're doing
this
here.
stuff will. If you could see him, you'd see this is a ropey man right here.
Yeah, he's ropey.
He's ropey. So how do you do it?
Ropey.
Oh no, it's true.
Let's get ropey.
Yeah, how do you do it?
Yeah. So, I mean, personally, now I have a different philosophy than I did 20 years ago. And I use this analogy a lot. Health is a journey. And it's really one of those things that you have to have your own personal journey. Don't listen to what I have to say and do it exactly the way I do it because I say to do it. You got to
try it.
You got to try it.
It's your body. Every man's temple's built different too.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to get in touch with your temple, your garage, so to speak. You got to get in touch with it.
And I want to jump in real quick.
Yeah,
it's your responsibility as a man. So, you're keeping your body ropey so you can love and protect your family, be an asset to the community, and fight to hold the middle of this nation is your masculine duty. So to allow yourself to be yarny or stringy, you are abdicating your duty as a man. And if you're just listening to Pharma Food and Gov and doing what they say and you become a piece of yarn, don't blame them. Look in the mirror.
And do research because it ain't right.
Right. So go with that.
No, absolutely. And research, what is research anyway? And that's really the thing that I had to learn over the time. So 20 years ago, when I first got into the chiropractic profession and started looking at diet and nutrition, it was always part of, something that was important to me. And like many people, I followed what the quote unquote experts told me to do. It must be true. So many people say it. It must be exactly what we need to do. The government tells me it's okay. The research papers show me it's okay.
Now, all that told me one thing. It's a lie.
As I've developed,
I'm sorry,
but you're right. As I've matured and done my own research and looked into it myself, I realized there was a lot of dogma there that just was not factual at all and was not based on the quote unquote things that I thought it was based on. and research being one of them. And we can go into what nutritional research really is in today's era. It's all bought. There's all perspectives, and unfortunately, it doesn't really prove anything.
Let me throw you an example of this, and you can do your research on what I'm about to tell you. The diabetic website, the American Diabetes Association, or whatever it's called, website, suggests a diet on their website. And it diametrically opposes health, the whole thing of diabetes. And why? Because they're paying for the website. They're paying for all of it. So the diet on that website is not a diabetic diet.
Well, it's designed to manage your diabetes, not cure
Manage.
it.
Yep.
Not
Manage.
reverse it. And that's one of the things that people don't recognize is the body's an amazing healing organism, and that
It's a miracle.
when dialed in properly, there's a lot of good things can happen. I've seen it firsthand multiple times. Guys that type 2 diabetic, 20 years, all of a sudden they do some dietary changes and voila, no longer needing the
Statins,
medication.
no more statins.
Yeah.
Type 2 diabetics can be healed.
Absolutely. I see it all the time. And
And I don't care if your doctor's advising you other, you need to find something else because type 2 diabetes is healable.
Absolutely. I see it all the time. Worked with many clients personally to do that. But all that to get back to my own journey, as I started recognizing that the information out there wasn't necessarily serving me, I had to kind of really come to that moment where I said, well, wait, what is the truth? What is it that I need to do? And of course, it was easy to kind of recognize that things like processed foods, the sugars, the additives, the artificial colors, and trans fats, and those across the board, regardless of the dietary mantra that you follow, most people recognize as not good things to put into our body. Now, they're addicting and people choose to eat them anyway. But I think across the board, most health conscious people understand that.
Mm-hmm.
What really slapped me across the face several years ago was this concept of plants having these toxins in it. And I was a big fruits and vegetable guy. I coached many men and women on diet and exercise. And for the most part, I told them what the food pyramid told them, eat some healthy grains, eat, lots of fruits and vegetables, eat sparingly some lean meat, and then certainly sparingly eat these fats, these oils.
Fat is bad.
Fat is bad. If you want low fat, or if you don't want fat, you eat low fat. And that was unfortunately what they preached and what they still preach today.
Yeah.
Despite obesity, as we just mentioned, continuing to go up. We have more low fat caloric intake people today, yet more obesity. And so you have to do the math and say, obviously, we're not doing something correct.
Well, something's not working.
And so really the most radical thing I've really adopted in the last 2 years is this idea that toxins are found in plants. And we're talking vegetables and we're even talking fruit, that they're defense mechanisms, right? Plants, just like every other organism that wants to survive, have to ward off predators. And they're unable to fight back with teeth or fangs, and they're unable to move. They don't have legs. So the only thing they can do is produce chemicals. So when you ingest them, it discourages you from wanting to eat them more. Yet, for whatever reason, we as humans override that concept because we have it in our mind that they're natural and they're healthy and they have these good things in it. And again, I'm not saying that plants can't have some health qualities to them, but what people miss is that they also have these other chemicals that could be potentially creating health problems to them.
And we talked about that with Dr. Cammie Benton, MD, on the show here, environmental toxins. We're going to talk about more of it when we come back from the break. Stay tuned. More About Your House coming your way.
Want to find out more about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Steve Helms here with the Al Metal Driving Corporation. The Al Metal Driving Corporation is a full-service driving company. Regardless of the problem, we can handle it. Does your clothes dryer take longer than 45 to 50 minutes to dry a load? If so, you need your dryer vent cleaned or checked. The clothes dryer is the most inefficient appliance in the house and should never take longer than 45 to 50 minutes. Call Al Metal Dryer Vent today at 704-846-8368 or online at almetaldryervent.com. That's 704-846-VENT. Have you cleaned your dryer vent lately?
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595, or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to About Your House, talking about diet with Dr. Tunis Hunt, bones, and the effects thereof. We talk about environmental toxins. I'll share something with you because I'm an open book. Right now, I'm going on 73, 72 years old, and I'm just using me as an example of an aged dude. I've got BPH right now. BPH is a swollen prostate. What's that do? Well, it causes urinary problems, urination, bladder problems. It can cause many things, but there's a way to deal with it. And the reasons for it. Now, because I have it, and this has only come up in my life in the past year. So I've been doing blood work, to make sure my blood work is where it needs to be, and other things. And what I'm getting to is because of environmental toxins, plastics, for example. Talk about that a little bit. BPH and not the chemical in plastics. What? BPA, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've known about this for probably a couple decades now, that there's chemicals in plastic that can be harmful to our human body. We have this hormone regulation system that we have in our body that controls a majority
lot.
a majority
A
of things that are
lot.
going on, and that unfortunately things in our environment, things that we ingest, albeit through our food source, through our drinking, or just breathing it in, can disrupt that hormone balance.
Something I've talked about for years and years now, if you've listened to my radio show, is glyphosate. Glyphosate. I've talked about Roundup, and everybody just kind of told me I was crazy 15 years ago. No, not crazy at all. Everything I told you back then, not that I want to be right, I just want to do the right thing. Okay? Glyphosate is a big hormone disruptor. And your bread, it's sprayed on vegetables, and some vegetables. It's sprayed on most mass agricultural produced foods. It's in our food supply. 95, they did a study and tested like a lot of our foods, and most of our foods have it in it.
Well, it's just so pervasive at this point. I mean, just they're still finding things like Agent Orange and other things in our food systems that they used way back in the 50s and even 40s, of things that they used to crop dust things with. I mean, it's still in our environment.
Right.
And so right now, there's actually newer storylines coming out about these microplastics and the buildup of it in testes.
We're talking nanoparticles.
Yeah, nanoparticles. And so there's a lot of research now coming out about the amount of it in men testicles and so forth. So we know we're ingesting it, we're getting it in our system. And then what happens is this hormonal balance gets dysregulated. We talked about testosterone earlier for men. Well, the counterbalance to that is estrogen. And estrogen is the big thing that women have that kind of make them women. And men have testosterone that kind of give us our male dominating traits. Well, you start getting too much estrogen as a man, that starts to create all types of hormonal imbalances.
It also is a great contributor to a swollen prostate.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. I have too much estrogen in my body right now.
Well, the body's converting it. And so there's things in plants, for instance, we use a term called phytoestrogen. And that can really be found in foods like soy-based products.
A lot of soy, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times people consider soy as this health darling, and unfortunately, it's further from the truth. And especially if you're a man, I would highly recommend you evaluate the amount of soy that you consume.
Right.
And a guy might go, well, listen, I don't eat a lot of tofu or soy, but it's found in lots of things. Soy isolate, soybean oil. It's pervasive in processed foods. And
soy is one of those filler agricultural products that came up years ago, and they use it so many ways, you don't even know you're eating it.
That's exactly
the
point.
It's cheap.
It's subsidized by the government.
It's like corn oil, right? It's like corn.
Yeah. It's cheap to make.
And speaking of corn, just reminded me of something. Processed oils, hydrogenated oils, whatever, all the oils, vegetable oil, they're all bad for you.
Well, that is really coming to light as the number one disruptor of human health that we have right now. A lot of times people want to blame sugar. They want to blame saturated fat that you find in animal products. But the reality is this: we consume unbelievable amounts of this vegetable oil. And by the way, vegetable oil is not vegetables.
No.
It's a processing part of a vegetable.
It's horrible for you.
Absolutely. Creates this inflammatory response. Your body doesn't know how to store it properly, so therefore it turns off these signals called leptin and ghrelin in the body that controls appetite. This is why people overeat but don't feel satiated. And so it's so pervasive in our environment that they're really linking obesity and the induction of vegetable oil into our food processing system as really the correlation versus things like high sugar or even the trans fat or even saturated fat, which really gets a bad name. Saturated fat, for instance, from animal products gets a lot of bad press, but in reality is absolutely necessary for the human body.
Good ribeye steak.
Man, that is so. To go back to what
triggers something.
Yeah, so to go back to our previous before the break, and I was kind of getting into my personal diet. Long story short, at this point in time, for about the last 18, 19 months, that's basically my diet. I have 2 ribeye steaks a day. That's all I eat. I eat that with butter. and I feel amazing.
My son's is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Has done it.
So the term a lot of people throw around is carnivore or carnivorism or whatever. I use the term more of a animal-based diet. I'm not dogmatic. I still have a few fruits and vegetables on occasion. I'll still eat some rice or some pasta on occasion. I'll still
Because it
drink
tastes good.
Yeah, I'll still eat drink an alcoholic beverage. I'm not one of these people that are just completely
teetotaler, yeah.
Exactly. But most days, that is what I choose to consume because I noticed in my own health just the next level it took me to. I was already quote unquote healthy, just doing what most people consider a healthy diet of a mixed diet of vegetables and fruit and whole grains and meat. Although it was low carbohydrate, I've never been a big carbohydrate person just because I tended to go towards more protein. But now it's basically all protein. And I find that really is helpful for me. And a lot of the men I work with find that adding more protein in their diet is a game changer when it comes to achieving some of these health benefits they're looking for, specifically after the age of 35 and 40. They find that this muscle depreciation or deficiency is really the epidemic we have. I use a term instead of an obesity problem, we have a lack of muscle problem.
Huh, okay.
Because if we actually work on building muscle, by default, you're going to burn the fat.
That would go to the ropey thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another part is testosterone. Okay. If men are losing their testosterone at the young age of 35, they're becoming demasculated.
Mhm.
And like it or not, they are. And that's a problem we're talking about. Okay. Here's a dude, Ray Terry, started testosterone injections therapy about 5 years ago, 2017. Now here I am, okay, these years later. Now what's the byproduct of that? Well, I went from 210 pounds down to 175 almost immediately, getting on this. And what it did, it turned that fat into muscle. So voila, magic. However, here we are. Because of the balance, estrogens coming on too strong and overriding the testosterone that now it's a game changer. I'll tell you that. Testosterone therapy is a game changer. More muscle mass, more energy, less brain fog. I mean, you become a real guy.
It's a necessary hormone for all those reasons.
Yes.
And to your point, there's a time and place for replacement. And what happens, unfortunately, is over the years of taking testosterone, as your body goes, I don't have to naturally produce it because you're giving it to me. And so these other channels are going to build up like estrogen. So my rule of thumb when I'm coaching or counseling guys that are considering testosterone therapy is there are some natural things that you can try. But there's always a time and place for the replacement. And I'm never against it, especially in scenarios where it's necessary. Sometimes the body just doesn't make it regardless of what you give it. But unfortunately, there are side effects at some point.
And that's kind of the reason I'm bringing it up. I don't mind talking about this stuff because men need to know about the issues on being a man. Okay. And, as you get older, a lot of guys out there want to be all they can be, which, man, I'm great. But keep up with it. You've got to keep up with your hormonal levels or they become maladjusted, even though you're on a testosterone therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's about balance, which I'm learning.
Yeah. So adding more protein to your diet, resistance training. We talked about the importance of exercise.
Exercise is
muscle,
vital.
Those are all natural ways of really kind of boosting that testosterone.
Protein and iron.
Protein and iron.
Yeah.
You got a recommendation about how many grams of protein?
Yeah. So this is all over the board when you look at studies and so forth. Personal.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, go for it.
Hold it. Let's kill a minute here before we go to the top of our break. And when we come back, we'll talk about diet. Red meat is, good meat. Not all meat, because there's bad meat too, right?
Yeah. You got to still have good quality.
You got to have quality meat. And locally farm raised would be the best, grass fed, all that stuff you hear about. Organic. Organic don't mean a lot. That's another overused term these days. But at any rate, good quality meat is full of testosterone.
Good quality meat?
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It has building blocks.
Okay, the building block
of protein, which can produce hormones.
But the fat,
we don't want to eat something that's loaded with hormones.
Okay,
and so this
right.
is where we want hormone-free milk and hormone-free beef and so forth.
Well, we're going to talk about the milk, about the sugar, about the bread, about your diet. Not just you guys, women too. You know, there's a lot of overweight people. We can beat that. Come on back next hour. You're listening to About Your House on Fox Sports Charlotte. Phone number, if you're interested, 704-227-8986. We'll be back.
Who do you buy it from? Beasley.
Grab another cup of coffee and join us for hour 3 as we continue our discussion with Dr. Tunis Hunt of Hunt for Wellness and David Redding, an attorney, author, and founder of F3. They'll continue their discussion on men's health, both physical and mental, so you won't want to miss it. Stick around. About Your House is brought to you in part by Carolina Foundation Solutions, a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina. From the hills to the coast, if you have a problem, they have a solution. Also brought to you by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us as we spread a little love. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 3. David Redding, attorney at law, in the house, co-founder of F3 and an author of a couple books. We'll talk about that a little bit. Maybe. We'll try. How's that? Talking to Dr. Tunis Hunt. Bones goes by his F3 name. Talking to him about men's diet. And, well, we've got a lot of two healthy guys in the studio today with Dread and Bones. They get up and they exercise. And that's, we're talking about hormones and what have you. We talked about red meat before the break.
Mhm.
We were going into that a little bit more about why red meat? Why is it? I mean, what's the facts behind red meat, carnivore diet?
Well, I mean, the idea is, evolutionary speaking, the human species needs the minerals, vitamins, and the overall nutritional benefit that we talked about red meat specifically. Now, you can obviously eat chicken, you can eat salmon, and you can eat other varieties of meat.
I noticed you didn't say pork.
Pork. I eat pork. No, you can eat pork. Bacon's fantastic.
Bacon.
So really, any
bacon.
type of meat, if you're looking at the carnivore diet as a definition, it's usually accepted that any meat form
Right.
can be accepted. Now, what they do notice, however, and overall, people do well with more of the red meat overall. It seems to have a little more, be more tolerable for most people. It also has a great balance of fat. Unfortunately, you get some of the leaner meats, you lose some of that fat content, because if you don't eat carbohydrates, and this is where some people kind of lose their mind because they consider these three macronutrients, fat, carbohydrates, and protein, as essential. And really, the truth is this: the human body does not require a single gram of carbohydrate to function. Now, can it use carbohydrate? Of course it can. And we see it all the time. It's just not necessary. Fuel sources either come from carbohydrate or fat. And what I'm proposing is fat is the better choice because it's more sustainable, but more importantly, it is those building blocks to hormones. It's also the building blocks to things like cholesterol that create protective mechanisms in our body. It gives us that fatty substance that protects all of our cells. So we need fat. We can't live without it, but we can live without carbohydrate, even though that's hearsay in a lot of nutritional circles, because we've been brainwashed, really, and told that carbohydrate is necessary.
Scammed.
Now, again, I'm not saying you can't eat carbs, and I'm not saying healthy people can't consume carbohydrate.
Macaroni and cheese.
That's right. That's right.
There's a big one.
I'm just suggesting that you don't have to eat it, and that if you do choose a diet, and really what carnivore diet really becomes is the ultimate elimination diet, right? Because you're just not eating anything but this very thing that the human body can absolutely use to full capacity. And there's some nuances to what people look at when they look at the carnivore diet, as far as like what's acceptable and not acceptable. As I mentioned already, I'm not dogmatic about it, but I do try to keep that in, the higher meat property as far as what I consume mostly.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Do you do much sugar?
I don't do much sugar. I haven't done much sugar historically speaking. I'm not against sugar. I think sugar can be used. A lot of people talk about glucose specifically, about being used to stimulate certain metabolic processes. The brain needs it for fuel and whatever. But I'm not against it. I don't eat a lot of it. It can be very damaging to our system. We overconsume sugar in our society.
Part of the obesity problem.
Absolutely.
Part of it, yeah.
I think statistically we're in the 120 to 130 pounds per person a year category. In comparison to the turn of the 19th century, it was maybe 5 grams per family or 5 pounds per family, maybe more accurately. But in other words, we do overconsume it, and it's because it makes things taste good.
You get yours from dark chocolate, right?
I do like dark chocolate.
Cacao.
That is my one kind of vice. I like a dark 85%
But
cacao.
it's got qualities in it that are very healthy.
Yeah,
Very beneficial, actually.
I think so.
Cacao.
Yeah.
How often do you eat dark chocolate?
Pretty much daily. Yeah, I have a little piece daily. I keep it in the freezer. Usually it's a post-meal treat. Just, small square, suck on it, let it dissolve. And that's kind of, it scratches the itch, right?
Sure.
Of some of that. And that's where some of the argument
like
comes.
desserts. What in America, It seems like every event you go to, any social event, whether it's business, whatever,
Sure.
there's always got this desserts.
Mm.
What?
Well, it's a dopamine hit, right? I
Right.
mean, makes people feel good. That's why people eat it. It's just like doing a drug that gives you this high. It's designed the same way.
It's tongue porn.
Yeah.
You know,
There you
like,
go.
so, you watch, sexual relations with your wife are healthy. God
They're
God
very
given.
healthy.
Right.
Matter of fact, we need more of it.
Absolutely. Now, pornography is an unnatural perversion of your natural sexual desire.
Yep.
And it delivers something that your wife cannot. No, it's not. It's unnatural. And so that's how porn works. And it screws up your ability to enjoy regular, healthy sex with your wife. And sugar delivered the way it's delivered, an Oreo cookie does the same thing. It delivers a feeling to your tongue that nature cannot provide. And after you eat a bunch of Oreo cookies, man, eating an orange ain't gonna get it, right?
That's correct.
Ain't gonna get it. So it's really the same principle. If you pervert that which is natural and God given, and refine it and produce it in a way that makes it addictive, you will destroy your ability to enjoy it in its most natural form.
Right.
Well said.
I'm kind of anti-porn.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm anti-porn. I'm anti-tongue porn too.
Yeah.
Well, I get it. I hear
Yeah.
what you're saying. It makes sense.
It's what's happening to our young men. And our young men are being fed these things, porn, pot, video games, all these things.
Oh,
that-
video games.
Video
are out of
games is like,
control.
it's not delivering the same experience that going out. Like we were kids, you grow up and you play war, right?
Mhm.
And from my era, because I grew up in the 70s, it was like we always, okay, you're the Nazis and we're the Americans. We'd switch, right? We'd play war out in the woods with sticks, running around. It's the most natural thing in the world to do.
Right.
And you look at it, so you're
And
running
there's
up.
a creek, so let's play in the creek.
That's playing
That's
it,
right.
man. We played in the creek all the time.
Yeah, lakes,
Creeks, jumping in the water just like a dog. That's what we did.
and went barefooted.
And went barefoot all the time. Now I look at these young kids today, and they're sitting in a hermetically sealed, air-conditioned house, playing a video representation of what we used to go out and do. And it's any wonder why they're fearful, fat, and feckless? Of course they are, because they're not getting out in the natural way that you're supposed to as a man, as a boy, right?
Natural.
Natural.
There's something very healing and beneficial to nature.
Absolutely.
Nature is therapeutic, healing, and just an absolute wonder of benefits. Just go hug a tree, but go barefooted.
To your point, someone struggles with sleep. We talk about, hey, listen, before bedtime, go outside, walk around on the lawn barefoot, ground yourself, get with your thought, do some deep breaths. And it's amazing just that small, routine, what it will do to kind of help you naturally fall back to sleep and decrease some of those ions.
And meditation. That's a word a lot of people say, I'm not a meditator. Well, you learn. And meditation's not what some think. You can meditate walking.
Correct.
You can meditate laying down. You can meditate various ways, but learn meditation. It's very beneficial. And that's something that, we've been taught so many wrong things. Milk products. Let me go there. You a milk person?
I personally do not consume milk or dairy.
I don't either.
I think is what you're getting to.
No, but I want to know where you stand on it.
Yeah. Well, so
He's pretty much sure that he's not going to drink something that's designed to increase a calf's body weight,
right, and
astronomically,
right. And we use that. I've taught that before. It's like we are the only mammals that drink another mammal's milk.
It ain't right,
and especially past the age of development.
Right.
Obviously, breast milk is super important.
Absolutely.
I think all children should be on breast milk if capable of doing so. There's so many healing and healthy properties to
incredible.
Well, it ignites your system to fight off disease.
Well,
right?
it's all immune building.
Immune building.
Because you're not born with it.
Correct. Well, actually, most of that immune system, people don't realize you get through the vaginal canal through a natural birth. This is why a lot of cesarean children don't have robust immune systems, is because they miss that sloppy bacterial bath that happens during a vaginal birth.
Yeah.
And so, but to the breast milk part, that is exactly what happens as well, is you get those healing properties, that nutrient property from the mother's body transferred into the to the baby. But cows, cow's milk are designed for calves to grow. Now, we obviously can consume it. I'm not saying you can't have milk. There are properties of fat and so forth that people
or you like the taste.
Or I use butter.
In the military, mess halls. Oh man, milk. They had the coldest milk.
Yeah.
I drank me some milk like nothing. I love milk growing up. Milk was like water growing up, but I hit a point.
There is the concern with milk today is the allergenic response or this intolerant response that a lot of people have when they consume it.
Lactose.
Yeah, that part, or just overall inflammation that can happen as a result of drinking it. And so people that find themselves maybe battling these chronic conditions, certainly autoimmune conditions, do better when they remove that milk from their dietary, daily practice or whatever.
But you said you do butter, which I love.
I love butter.
Butter is great.
Yeah.
And healthy, actually.
Good absolutely. Good butter can be. It's certainly better than these fake alternatives like margarine.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Because they come from corn, right? I mean,
it's really this byproduct that they created.
It's full of chemicals.
Well, right, exactly. And the true color of margarine is actually a grayish, blandish color. They dye it yellow. The reason they dye it yellow is to make it look like
appealing.
Yeah.
That's
to make it look, because if you saw
psyop right there in the bowl,
right? If you saw margarine in its natural form, no one would ever consume it,
right?
But because they make it look like butter, which is something that
I can't believe it's not butter.
Exactly. And
Matakia.
Those are the very things that are creating the heart disease in reality.
Yeah,
and
that's
not
right.
the butter.
I mean, I felt
not
like
the salt.
when I was listening to your podcast about these things, I felt like Neo in the Matrix. It was like that scene where it's like everything you thought you knew is wrong, right?
Oh, it's incredible.
Everything you thought you knew was wrong. And if you take the red pill, you can find out that you're basically a battery. I mean, and this is the best part of that movie. Like, it's my favorite. That's why we use that in F3. We talk about the daily red pill is committing yourself to accelerate your fitness, fellowship, and faith. And I mean, I was listening. I was like, that can't be right. I mean, my mind is pretty much open to things, but it can't be true what you're saying. And then I met another chiropractor, and he said the same thing. I was like, are you sure about that? And he's like, yeah, look it up. Look it up. I'm like, so you can get what you'd get from a piece of broccoli from a T-bone? He's like, yep, you don't need it. And the broccoli doesn't want you to eat it. And it's got stuff in there. What is it with chiropractors? I mean,
I told you coming into the show. They take a different,
they're heterodox.
A whole different vantage point to health and wellness.
They're heterodox, exactly.
Yeah, heterodox.
Yeah, they run against the orthodoxy, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I think you said status quo before, right?
Right.
Then the thing that everybody believes is true, the thing we've all decided is true. We're living in the matrix, right? And here comes a darn chiropractor coming in, pulling you out and saying, no, actually, right? Well, you go, well, wait a second, I think I need to eat a wide variety of vegetables. Like, does a dog do it? No.
Exactly. Do the squirrels do it?
Nope.
Do the moose show?
They just eat nuts.
Along with the face mask, we had. I said, when the bear shows up with a face mask, I'm in. But if you show me a bear wearing a face mask, I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay. But until then, nope, won't wear one.
Careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
Somebody will do it.
Somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy. But anyway. All right. About your house. Excuse me, I lost my thought there. Dr. Tunis Hunt for Wellness is in the house talking. Well, you heard him. He's talking good stuff. Just pay attention and do it. And David Redding Dredd, co-founder of F3, attorney as well, litigator, in the house today talking good stuff. I hope it's beneficial. We're just talking. We're just trying to do the right thing and help you out. So come on back. We'll talk some more.
Find out more about the show, go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hi, Roddy Player here with Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances. Do you ever wonder how a local, family-owned business can compete with the big box national chain stores? It's simple. As part of North America's largest buying group, we have over $15 billion in buying power. We buy products at great prices from more manufacturers than any chain store, period, and we pass those savings on to you. So buy local and save more at Queen City, where you'll always find the right product, right price, and real answers guaranteed.
Crown Town Cannabis, Charlotte's original CBD store. Not only do we have CBD products, we have all kind of natural holistic products for your health and wellness. Come see for yourself at one of our 3 Charlotte and surrounding locations. 2419 Central Avenue, Charlotte, 3201B North Davison Street, Charlotte, or 119 Country Club Drive Northeast in Concord, North Carolina. Also find us online at crowntowncannabis.com.
The professionals at Kilo Exterminating Company have over 70 years of experience in pest control. Throughout the years, they always pride themselves on maintaining the highest standard of quality and customer service, with every technician being state certified. And moisture readings are standard with every inspection. Their top priority is ensuring your home is free from pests such as ants, mosquitoes, termites, and any other pests wreaking havoc on your home. That's Kilo Exterminating at 704-333-9855 or online, kilo.biz. That's 704-333-9855.
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about what? Y'all remember?
Putting a mask on a bear.
Putting a mask on a bear?
Yeah.
Okay. No, we're talking about diet and various, forms of diet that we're addicted to. And I'm going to get into another one here. We talked about sugar, carbohydrates, all these misnomers and lies, basically, that we've been told for forever. Bread. Bread is like candy to a lot of people. You go to a restaurant.
Turns into candy as soon as you put it in your mouth, doesn't it?
Well, yeah,
Sugar.
yeah, and that's the thing. See, but I go to restaurants, and the first thing, would you like bread? They bring out this big loaf of bread, and I always say no, because I don't do bread except in a sandwich. It's the only time I eat bread is when there's although I take that back, I lied, because I love sourdough bread. But sourdough bread's got more health benefits to it than any other kind of bread, if it's real sourdough bread. There's that if. But breads in general are horrible for you.
Well, I mean, so yes, the problem with bread is what Dredd just kind of alluded to, is the idea that it really raises insulin response, because as we eat bread, there's a enzyme in our mouth that basically takes that amylose, which is the sugar in bread, and converts it into sugar in the body. And so just like eating candy or a Snickers bar or something like that, when we start to consume bread, our insulin response is just as prominent. In fact, when you look at a glucose chart as far as kind of how it affects the body, bread is way up there, maybe even higher than things like Snickers and Reese's and people.
See, that's why I brought it up,
Yeah.
because I want people to realize, and thank you for your information here, because bread you don't look. Most people don't look at bread like that.
Of course not.
No.
Look at the food pyramid.
Right. Grains.
And they say, well, it delivers these vitamins. No, they bleach the seed, then they enrich it by spraying vitamins back on it. Well, how about just eat the thing and get the vitamins directly for? It comes from seeds and grains, which are not designed for the human body. They're designed to grow the thing. So it contains things in there that you don't need to eat and should not eat.
And 90% of all mass-produced grains are sprayed with glyphosate.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep. Cancer-causing carcinogenic agent, okay? Not good for you at all, but yet it's there.
And the other reason people are addicted to bread is, we mentioned the dopamine response, the hit. I mean, when you eat bread, it's like having heroin or cocaine.
Oh, I agree.
Other
Good
things.
Look, I love bread. Don't misunderstand me. I like me a good piece of French bread, toast a little bit, a little butter on it. Man, that's some good
Can't
stuff.
beat that. It's tongue torn, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it's good. I love that little crunch, and man, yeah, that's some good to make a bulldog break its chain. That's good stuff. But no, can't eat it.
No, and this is where we were talking about diabetics earlier. I think this is where the National Diabetic Association gets it wrong, because they talk about moderation and they allow diabetics to eat grains and bread, not realizing every time they're doing that, they're essentially putting sugar in their mouth. So if they're gonna not want people to eat sugar, well, bread, unfortunately, is that very thing that unfortunately is still allowed. And these, diabetics wonder why their insulin levels never go down, or their, A1C levels never improve outside of medications. It's because they're still consuming products that are in the body. How the body processes it is just like eating sugar.
It's the same as telling an alcoholic, you know what? Why don't you get yourself down to two shots of Jack Daniels a day?
Yeah.
No, alcohol can't drink at all, right? And if you're type 2 diabetic, you can't eat anything that's going to continue to screw up your insulin.
Right. Not if you want it to heal.
Not if you want it to heal.
Correct.
Right now, if you want it just to rock steady, and then you can buy more, statins and Ozempic. Yeah, well then that's what I mean about the soft conspiracy. I mean, they're not sitting in a room together devising this to keep these people prisoner. They're just incentives line up like a Venn diagram, and it keeps them from saying one simple thing. No, you just can't eat the bread, man. You just got to stay off the bread, right?
Well, there's a lot of money in agriculture.
That's right.
I mean,
It's all about money.
Absolutely.
Every bit of what we're talking about is all around money.
It's the incentives,
It's a cash cow. If you eat 3 meals a day, you're going to spend more money.
That's right. And if you eat
It's that simple.
addicting stuff, you're going to eat more of it. It's cheap to make. People buy lots of it. And then if nefarious thought is, to your point, gets us sick, and therefore we have the solution, which is these pills.
Go see my brother with it. Right.
Exactly. In fact, there's a lot of, if you really trace back ownership of a lot of these corporations, they kind of start to get pretty close to the same ownership. The manufacturer of the food is also the manufacturer of the drug for the symptoms that you develop for eating that said food.
Yeah. And there's two companies, BlackRock and Vanguard.
Well, those are way up there.
But they're way
yeah,
up there.
yeah.
But
But
it's a
to
reality.
your point, what most people don't realize is you don't really have a lot of food choice when it comes to variety. When you go to the supermarket, there's probably 5 companies that own everything on the shelf, even though there's a 1,000,005 different labels and quote unquote smaller companies. They're all under the same umbrella. They're all being influenced down the same chain of command and objective, which is make money for shareholders. People don't recognize that is the reason these companies exist, not to provide you health, not to provide you nutrition per se. If they're publicly traded by law, their number one obligation is to create profit.
Going a little sideways now, because I get this discussion with a lot of guys a lot of time. That's coming out.
I imagine you do.
Coming at it as a capitalist and a liberal, which is what I am. A corporation exists for one purpose and one purpose only. It's to take profits legally to enhance shareholder value. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And when you start talking about, well, what is it? What is it? What does it owe the public? None of those things are. They will put those on like masks, so that they can continue behind the mask to take profits legally to enhance shareholder value. And if you just rip the mask off and say, I know, Nabisco, what you exist to do, to take profits legally to enhance shareholder value, then we can put aside all this stuff about demonizing, or we don't have to even worry about it. I know your incentives. Your incentives are to addict me to an Oreo cookie. Mm-hmm. And I have agency. I have an absolute responsibility over my own body. I will not allow it.
Right.
I will not allow it. And if you influence the FDA to say, well, there's certain circumstances where, okay, I get it, they're in on it, but I don't have to buy into that, right? No. I don't have to. That part's up to me. Because when I hear people saying, well, I've been victimized by no, you haven't.
No.
You don't have to eat it.
You don't have to eat it. You don't have to eat it.
You can take control of your own health. Right?
That's right. That's exactly the point.
That's exactly the catchphrase that a lot of pharmaceuticals companies use, which is so ironic. It's not ironic at all. It's demonic, right? They'll say, I've taken control of my own health. By what? By using Ozempic. No, you haven't. You've allowed Johnson & Johnson, whoever creates that stuff, to take control of your own health. If you took control of your own health, you would not imbibe or ingest any of those things that lead to the breakdown of your cell structure, right? You wouldn't do it, because that's what diabetes 2 is, right?
Yeah, it's the perpetuation of too much sugar.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's what it is, whether or not you want to play victim or not. But that is exactly what happened. I tell people, as far as like we talked about environmental toxins, we can't control completely all the environmental toxins that we're exposed to just walking down the street. I can't control that. But I have complete control over everything I put into my mouth.
Mm-hmm. It might be the only thing you control.
That's probably, to your point, absolutely. And so, but we want to play that victim card a lot of, well, I didn't know, or I didn't realize, or that's too good, or that's too boring. And that's where I think we fail in diet when we use that term, is we overcomplicate it. We overcomplicate it in our society.
We have become, I use this a lot in my life, we've become overeducated idiots.
Absolutely.
The best way to confuse a man between what is true and what is not true is to make it complex and easy. Mm-hmm. Because the things that are true are all simple and hard.
Yeah.
It's simple and hard. How do I maintain my weight? How do I
discipline?
But here are the few things.
Right.
It's simple, but it's hard.
Right.
I count my calories, 2,700 a day. I don't worry about the number of meals I eat, but I eat 3. That's what works for me. 2,700. I eat 180 grams of protein a day. That's what works for me. It's simple, but it's hard. That's just the way it is. Make it complex and easy. Well,
how much you weigh, Drew?
172 pounds.
Okay. How much you weigh?
180.
180. God, cool.
And so, like Dred mentioned, the protein, and I think you asked me this before we went to one of those breaks, the protein content. So I prescribe to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that you want to be, the ideal body weight, right? So if you're 250 pounds, but your ideal weight is 200, you're not going to eat 250 grams. You're going to eat 200.
Right.
Or if you're 160 and you want to be 170, you eat 170. But if you look at the dietary recommendations, the RDA, it's like 0.8 kilograms, grams per kilogram. And so it's way low. And what people don't recognize about the RDA is that is the allowance for survival. That's just if you're sitting on the couch and do nothing, that's what you bare minimally need just to survive and allow the processes in the body to work properly. If you're actually active or you want to gain muscle, if you want to be a high achieving man, you're going to have to bump that up. But it's villainized in our dietary, recommendations because it's all about the fruits, it's all about the vegetables, it's all about the grains. It's use meat sparingly.
Totally backwards.
Totally backwards.
Hey, cows are bad for the environment.
Yeah,
Shouldn't even have them.
And cows are bad for the environment,
Right.
which is complete nonsense when you look at regenerative farming and what an actual cow does to the grasslands. It's amazing.
I had a show one day about the media being weaponized. Are you listening, people? Are you listening? They want you sick. Why? Because you're a customer. There's about 6 square blocks down off Moorhead Street, Kings Drive, dedicated to hospital. Dedicated. 6 blocks.
I'm surprised it's only 6 to me.
And
it seems like half the city is.
And they keep building. Why? Because we keep getting sicker. Why? Because of everything we've talked about today on this show.
Well, if you just look at any programming on television, mainstream media,
don't watch it.
Well, if you do watch it, just look at the advertisements.
Oh, it's
horrible.
horrible.
It's all bought and paid for by pharma, mostly.
And big corporate.
And then big corporate, agriculture. And so you have to ask, why are they investing all that kind of money? Well, it's because now they control the narrative.
Yep.
They control what's not only said, but they also control what's not said. In
Right.
other words, good luck going on, trying to buy media time that's going to give you a cure for diabetes. They're not going to allow that to play on the air.
Nope.
Because it goes against everything.
Well,
their other corporate.
Cures are finite,
right?
From a monetization standpoint. Treatment of symptoms are infinite.
Sure.
So of course they're all about the Ozempic, right? Because if they cure it, you're like, well, I can't sell the Ozempic.
No,
I mean,
But it's just like you brought up a word twice today, statins. Statins are horrible. If you're taking statin drugs, they're worse for you than the ailment you're taking them for.
Well,
It's
you
been
have to
proven.
understand the history
It's
of
been-
statins
I-
and why they were given in the first place.
Yeah.
And so, to your point, though, cholesterol is not the demon that people make it out to be.
Exactly.
Cholesterol is necessary. The
the
majority
body
of the,
makes it.
Well, exactly.
And-
So the
and
majority of
need
the
it.
cholesterol in your body that you currently have is made by your own liver because it's necessary for the hormones. We talked about vitamin D. We haven't talked about it, but vitamin D is
Oh, God, we
converted
need to.
from cholesterol with sunlight. Another thing we should get lots of is sunlight, and they demonize that. And they want you to lather your skin with all these chemicals and block out the
and they're
sun.
more horrible for you than
Exactly.
the sun itself.
But
my wife is a huge listener to your podcast.
really,
And she comes up one day. She actually listens to it more religiously than I do. And she comes up to me one day and she for our entire marriage, since I've known her, she's been this huge sunblock person. I mean, always sunblock. I never put on sunblock. I'm kind of swarthy anyway. I've never really been much into it.
But you're ropey.
I'm ropey. Suddenly one day she says, you know what? We got to tap the brakes on all this sunblock. I said, what are you talking about? I mean, she had heard you on the podcast say it. And she starts looking at it like, yeah, we're not getting enough. How the heck did human beings make it to 1960? How did we make it?
Well, how did we make it with, all this stuff they made it?
Right,
I mean,
right.
we didn't have shoes, back in the day. They didn't have shoes.
Right.
They walked barefooted.
Now, there's modern advancements and things that
Sure.
we've improved our life and health with. But to that point,
But it's
lots of people.
And so she
expose
heard him.
themselves.
She heard him talking about that, and she's like, and I said, so I've been telling you since I've met you that we don't need as much sunblock, but you just heard this guy you've never met. I don't think you ever met her.
No, I haven't.
She's like, yeah, but he's right about that. He's like, okay, well, however it worked,
You're the husband, remember?
however it worked. Yeah,
Never a profit in your hometown.
yeah, there's never a profit in your hometown. No man is. No man is. But that's just one of those things. It came from the marketing of a product.
Mhm.
And I'm not demonizing the marketing of the product or the fact that people make
No.
money. But what I'm saying is, as men, we cannot abandon our responsibility to test it for ourselves to find out what the truth is. And a great truth finder is to start with this. Is it complex and easy? Because if it is, I'm very suspicious. But if it's hard and simple, I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's hard and simple. You should get a certain amount of sunlight, but not too much, right?
No, yeah, you can still burn, and there's still risk involved
Right.
with sunset. Don't
Oh,
hear what I'm
sure.
not
Right.
saying. I'm not-
Moderation and
yeah,
balance.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
And another one that's bad for you, and I got to throw this out there, and we're all familiar with it now. It's called hand sanitizer.
Oh my gosh. We're hitting all the biggies now.
The hand sanitizer you're putting on your hands, it's better for your hands to be dirty.
well,
It's
there's
healthier.
natural bacteria and germs that our body needs, and when we over sterilize anything, our body doesn't develop that. And so, I mean, we've kind of alluded to the mask and what we all went through in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, that was the biggest thing I saw that was just, I felt ridiculous, is this overuse. And it's still pervasive today.
Oh,
this
it is.
overuse-
There's
It's
3
crazy.
hand sanitizer stations in this
I
studio.
know there is.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Right.
Oh, they made them wear masks and what have you coming in the building. Not me. I wouldn't wear it. Yeah, I'll go home. I left jobs, Dredd. I'd knock on the door and they'd come to the door. Could you wear a mask? I says, no, if I have to wear a mask, I'm out. Say what?
That's purist right there.
And I said, if I got, and I walked away from a doctor's house one day, walked to the door with a mask on, and I knew he was a doctor. And right then I said, well, anyway, I'm
stealing this from Bill Maher, but it's funny and it's really true because he was pretty much anti-COVID lockdown stuff right from the start. But he's sitting in his driveway. This is probably 2020 or right when we first started doing that. He's like, and with his dog. He said, we're spraying our vegetables down with Clorox. We're afraid to touch anyone. But yet, and he points at his dog. My dog will roll around the driveway here in grease and dirt and all that stuff. Go and jump in my bed, and I'll be like petting him.
Yeah.
Right? Look in my mouth. He's like, the human body is designed to fight all this stuff off.
Every bit of it.
Otherwise, we'd already be dead. But now suddenly we want to be just covered.
enveloped with BS.
That's right.
BS.
Just abandonment of common sense.
Totally out the window.
Yeah.
Which I'm opposed to begin with. I'm a common sense based person. And when you do away with that, I'm saying, what's going on here? We didn't use our brains.
No, we did not.
Well, you say a lie long enough, it becomes truth. And I think that's what we found out just with these narratives. And we know what's happening now. And we're going, guys, you should do your research. And that's true. But I think if you're just a passive participant of life and you're just going through the motions,
you're a TV watcher
and you're watching television, you're listening to other things. It's no wonder we have the epidemic that we have.
Right.
Now, by design, they want us to be dependent on them.
Codependency is taught in our schools from day one. They want you codependent. And we've alluded to that the whole show today, whether you picked up on it or not.
Could be a good little factory worker. Good little, good little plug into the matrix. My pastor says the thing about sheep, the things about sheep is you can tell is tails and trails. They follow the tail in front of them and they stay on the trail. Because that's what a sheep does. And a man is not supposed to be a sheep. I think it's a great line he's got.
Yeah, well, I've used the word sheeple many times.
Yeah.
Turn into sheeple. Well, wait, is it okay to do it? You better check with somebody. People come up to me, Ray, can you do that? What do you mean, can I do it? Who'd you ask? Nobody. Well, shouldn't you ask somebody? No. Why? Well, it might not be, they may not want you to. I don't care. Well, I just don't care.
Have you considered a second career in chiropractic?
That's right. It's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's crazy. It is too late too. It is too late. All right, we're going to take a break here, final break of the show. Come on back. We're talking to David Redding, Dredd of the F3, and he's also an attorney, and Dr. Tunis Hunt, Bones, Hunt for Wellness. And we're going to find out how you can tune into his podcast, because I take it's a pretty good podcast.
Oh, it's awesome.
So
unbelievable amount of great advice on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. Come on back, folks. We'll talk more.
More about the show? Go to our Facebook page, About Your House Radio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Owens Chimney Systems is known for all professional chimney services since 1989, including chimney cleaning, recommended annually, chimney evaluations and inspections, any and all chimney repairs and restorations, gas fireplace and gas fire log service, furnace cleaning, cleaning out one of the most overlooked appliances in the home. Get it done right the first time. That's Owens Chimney Systems at 704-554-9595. Or you can visit us online at owenschimneysystems.com.
Carolina Foundation Solutions is a family-owned and operated company and a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina, providing foundation solutions from the mountains to the sandy shores of the coast. At Carolina Foundation Solutions, our objective is to help educate, offer guidance, and provide assistance. With over 200 years of combined experience, our family of experts are ready to help protect and repair your largest investments. If you have a problem, we have a solution. Call 877-883-4626 or online, carolinafoundationsolutions.com.
Go outside and take a look at your home. Are the gutters doing their job? The number one enemy to your home is water. Most homes are built with small, inadequate gutters and small downspouts. ABS Insulating has a division of the company that does nothing but gutter services. All gutter services: cleaning, maintaining, repair, new downspouts, replacement, and new gutters with many types available. They're a leader when it comes to gutter protection. Call ABS Insulating today, 704-821-4343 or absinsulating.com.
Steve Helms here with the Al Metal Driving Corporation. The Al Metal Driving Corporation is a full-service driving company. Regardless of the problem, we can handle it. Does your clothes dryer take longer than 45 to 50 minutes to dry a load? If so, you need your dryer vent cleaned or checked. The clothes dryer is the most inefficient appliance in the house and should never take longer than 45 to 50 minutes. Call Al Metal Dryer Vent today at 704-846-8368 or online at almetaldryervent.com. That's 704-846-VENT. Have you cleaned your dryer vent lately?
Have a comment or question for the show? Call us 704-227-8986. That's 704-227-8986. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Great show today, guys. I really appreciate y'all coming in, and if possible, I'd like to do this again sometime.
Sure,
at
sure.
least once a year, because I just think it's great that you can have great, honest dialogue between men and health and wellness. And there's this to wrap it up to some degree. I really appreciate the honesty here, and Dr. Hunt here. You know, his evolution to where he's at right now, his journey. You know, we're talking during the break about, you know, the things we learn and the lies we've been told. And as we grow, we learn, don't we?
Absolutely.
And, but what I'll say, and you can tell me your viewpoint on this, one thing, one size doesn't fit everybody. There's not one silver bullet to everybody's great health. We're all different. Our chemistries are different. We're just different. So he's a carnivore diet guy. You might be a vegetarian guy, because we're different, right?
Yes, we have different preferences. We have different environments. We have different genetic code. So yes, I will give you that. I will push back a little bit.
Please.
I will say from biology perspective, we all are human and our bodies do require very similar nutritional guidelines from that perspective. And I think there's things that I have discovered in my own journey that serve the human body better than other things. And I think people that abstain from meat, for instance, I think long term will find it more difficult to be optimal in their health because of certain nutrients you can't get in a plant-based diet. Vitamin B12 being a prime example of that. Now, people will argue supplementation and some other things. Just like if you were a zookeeper and you had 10 chimpanzees, you're not going to go to that chimpanzee population and specify a specific diet for each of those animals because they're quote unquote different and have different chemistry. You're going to say species appropriate diet for this chimpanzee is this. And therefore you're going to feed those chimps primarily the same diet. Now they may have small preferences.
It's like the dog.
Yes.
Yeah,
they may
dog.
have small preferences and they may have certain things that they prefer over the next chimpanzee. But categorically speaking, they're going to similarly eat. And I think that's where, when I mentioned that we've complicated diets, we're the only species that outthink common sense and put things in our body that we know not to be serving it repetitively and expect different results.
I hear you. There's two things I want to talk about. One is we missed it, and that's meat. All right, we talked about meat. Well, we talked about the varying quality of meats. Grass-fed, but one surefire, and I'm a believer of this, is venison, deer. That's good meat.
It is good meat.
Very healthy for you, natural as can be. That they didn't feed it anything it wasn't supposed to eat.
Most likely,
right? So there's some good stuff. Now we didn't talk about vitamin D, and vitamin D is one of the most important things we put in our body.
Well, it's made by the body. It's really a hormone. People don't recognize it as a hormone. But we use the term vitamin D, and sunlight on the skin converts cholesterol in our body to that vitamin D. That's necessary for all types of benefits. It's really kind of the building block to some of these other hormones. But yes, it's very necessary, but very low in our society because
a lot of us are depleted.
Right.
We don't get enough of it.
We're scared of sunlight.
We're pasty-faced soy boys.
Exactly. We spend too much time inside.
It's true. We are. That's what we're in danger of becoming, you know?
But you can supplement it, of course.
I do. You know, I have to because.
And you want the D3 version, not the D2.
And at least 5,000
IUs
a day. And I do 10,000 because it's good for prostate health.
It can be. And really, I tell patients, test. Don't just arbitrarily take a bunch of stuff just to take it.
Exactly.
You can easily get a blood test and see what your vitamin D levels are. And if they're low, then it may make sense. Certainly during the winter months in the Northern Hemisphere, obviously we get less sunshine in the winter. So optimally use those. In the summer, you're probably better off going to take a nice walk daily outside with sunlight in your eyes and on your skin.
And you get exercise.
And
that's good physical exercise is a health therapy in itself.
That's right.
No question. How do they listen to you, big guy?
Yeah. So I have a podcast called the Hunt for Wellness podcast. It's aired on all your major platforms, Spotify, Apple, so forth. Now, to find it's a little tricky. You can probably type in Hunt for Wellness and find it, but I'm affiliated with the F3 Nation podcast suite. And so if you look for a station on, let's say, Spotify, you want to look up F3 Nation. And on there's several shows. And one of those shows is my show, the Hunt for Wellness show. And you can find it that way, certainly. And then, of course, you can try to Google it, or put it in the, and it may show up on its own without going through.
How about
that
YouTube? Anything on YouTube?
Not the specific. I have not released them on YouTube.
That's fine.
That's
fine.
the next
Just
step.
asking.
That's the next
Oh, that's the next
iteration.
step. Oh,
That's
good.
the next iteration.
Gotcha. I hear you. Awesome. So that's Hunt for Wellness. On now, speaking, if you're a man or a woman that wants your man in F3, because women have a tendency to, convince you and manipulate you a little bit. They do that well
with your best interest in mind.
Oh yeah, they're all for
and their
you.
own.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I give them that. Okay, so you're interested in F3. How do they get in touch? How do they
F3nation.com.
Okay.
And we got a giant map on there. And you can say, gee whiz, I live in Kalamazoo. Where's the closest F3? Kalamazoo. And then we're highly regionalized. So every region has its own website. And all you really got to do is contact them, someone will literally come to your house and get you out to work out.
Right. Gotcha.
So easiest thing, it's the easiest group in the world to join. All free of charge. That's key.
It's just free.
Absolutely free.
There's no dues, no membership fees, no application fee.
And really all fitness levels. I think a lot of guys are intimidated about getting out there because they think to themselves, well, I need to get fit first. And that's not necessary.
Nope. They're going to help you get fit. That's what F3 is about. Faith, fellowship, fitness.
That's it.
Did I say it in the right order?
You didn't, but that's okay.
What's the right order?
Fitness, fellowship, and faith.
Fitness, fellowship, and
You
faith.
said it in the order that seems correct, right? You're like, faith is most important. And our position is only this. We didn't put them in that order because we thought the right order. That's the order it's in. So
I hear you.
let's say, my objective of my life as a Christian is to spread the gospel. I tried to do it, I guess the old-fashioned way, walk up to people and say, hey, let me tell you about, didn't have much headway there.
Don't work
But
well.
but I found, for whatever reason, my military background, whatever reason, I could easily get a guy to work out with me.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And if I could do that and then forge a friendship with him, then when he's ready, he's maybe ready to hear a word about the Lord. And that's the actual order it comes in. So,
Makes sense.
and I want to make sure I emphasize this to people out there. F3 is not a Christian organization. We have all sorts of faiths. What we believe,
But they got faith.
what we believe is simply that faith is a belief in something outside of yourself, however you see it. And if you're a druid, we want you to be the best darn druid you could be, and help you to do
Be
that.
a damn good druid.
Be a damn good druid.
That's right.
Get yourself to Stonehenge and do whatever druids do.
Your law practice. How do they get in touch with you?
TLG Law. TLGlaw.com. That's who we are.
TLGlaw.com.
That's it.
If you're looking for are you a good attorney?
Well, I think I am.
Okay,
I've worked
cool.
very hard to be one.
I was hoping you'd say
Yeah.
that. Yep. Worked long and hard, didn't you?
Yeah, sure did.
And folks, this is About Your House. We loved it today. Appreciate you guys coming. I definitely want to do it again. And thank you, Pete, because Pete Sheppel made this happen,
Yeah.
basically. He said one day, I know somebody'd be a great guest, and he's talking about Tunis.
Chelms knows some guys.
Oh, he
Yeah.
does. He's an avid F3 participant.
he is.
And he's involved, and he's also on the board of directors with Put Tools in Schools. He is the treasurer and CFO.
He's a great man.
So, yes, sir. Have a great week, folks. We love you all. Take care. Health is wealth. Hunt for wellness. And just be a better person. Learn to love, compassion, empathy. That's true love. Do it. Let's do it together. We'll see you back here next week, every week on About Your House, right here on Fox Sports Charlotte.